is very, very important. And for elected leaders who in many ways set the tone, it is especially important.
Governor Andrew Cuomo urging New Yorkers to go about their business, undaunted by what he and the New York mayor are calling terrorist acts. First Lady Melania Trump alongside the president moments ago.
We cannot tolerate those cowardly attacks, and I strongly condemn all who choose violence.
That White House event was a bill signing in the ongoing fight against opioid abuse, a measure aimed in part at helping to stop the flow of illicit drugs being sent through the mail. Something to look forward to. Game 2 of the World Series tonight.
In the 8 times the Boston Red Sox have won the World Series, they took home the victory in Game 1 on 6 of those occasions, including the 1916 Fall Classic, where they defeated the then Brooklyn Robins, now known as the LA Dodgers. The Red Sox now go for the Game 2 win before heading out west for Game 3 at Dodger Stadium. Boston going with David Price for the Game 2 start, fresh off his first career postseason victory in the ALCS. As for the Dodgers, they'll tap Hyun-Jin Ryu for tonight's action on the mound, looking to exercise his road demons, an ERA near 4 away from LA this season compared to nearly 1 at home. First pitch in Game 2 coming up at 8:09 Eastern from Fenway Park in Boston. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Just to be clear, Boston won Game 1, so they're up 1-0 heading into Game 2 tonight. And again on Wall Street, the Dow is now down over 300 points. The NASDAQ down over 200 points. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the 2 leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. Woo! We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubbell also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today, with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better Block event tonight. Main Street Ford Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization. So people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We've opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take-Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 55. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 41. Tonight, cloudy skies expected. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for isolated rain showers. Highs level off around 51. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 55.
The opinions and remarks expressed on this radio program by the host, guests, and call-in listeners are the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not reflect the views of management or ownership of KVFD AM 1400.
Current price times 1,000 acres, carry the one. These days, it's hard to make the math work for your soybean fields. The BASF Liberty Link system with Liberty herbicide makes it easier. Start with a 2+ bushel per acre yield advantage. Add in lower system input costs and more complete weed control, and you get an extra $33 or more of profit potential per acre compared to Asgrow Roundup Ready to Extend soybeans. Grow smart with Liberty Link and BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
I'm Amy Errett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. It's very meaningful to me when I hear customers talk about how Madison Reed at-home hair color has changed their lives. Here's Vicky, one of our very first customers.
Coloring my own hair is easier than I ever imagined. The best part, I no longer have to sit in a salon and pay over $100 to have this done. Now I color it when it's convenient for me, and it takes less than an hour. People compliment me on how great my color is, and my hair is incredibly soft and healthy looking.
Experience beautiful, multi-dimensional, ammonia-free, salon-quality color for under $25. Join the hundreds of thousands of women who have tried and loved Madison Reed. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code TRUST. That's code TRUST. Try it. Love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
As the nation's leader in pork production and pork exports, Iowa's pork producers are doing things right. It's their ethical and moral responsibility. Hog farmers keep their pigs safe and healthy, safeguard natural resources, protect public health, and build strong communities every day. Pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement are roles they take very seriously. Iowa's pork producers, producing safe, affordable food. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
The Webster County pork producers remind you when it comes to protecting their family's health, Iowa's pig farmers are some of the most concerned people around. Safe, affordable, delicious, and nutritious pork can be served for your dinner tonight. Roasted, grilled, stewed, sauteed, stir-fried, broiled, kebabbed, sauced, dipped, sandwiched in your new recipes and your old recipes. Why not buy some pork today and serve it up tonight? This message brought to you by the Webster County pork producers, striving to serve people, pigs, and the planet.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Tickets to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. And we are going to tell the truth, make it matter. We're never going to be boring. You can join the program by calling 515-955-1400. You can see as well as hear the program by going to 1400 KVFD on YouTube, 1400 KVFD on YouTube. If you do that, you will see the eminent Dr. Terry Menke, city councilman, intellectual, poet, warrior, porn star, going over some material here, which I'm sure he's about to enlighten us as to the contents. So how you doing, Doctor?
You said doo-doo.
Doo-doo. I
You
did
said
say,
doo-doo.
I did
You did.
doo-doo. I did say it. I said
Yeah, you did.
I
See, I
said
was paying
doo-doo.
attention.
Well, a friend of mine, a very educated friend of mine, the other day was talking, was writing about public things, and he didn't realize till he was done that it was he had written pubic. So, so all those years of university training, and he couldn't spell public. It got to be pubic.
Yeah, that's what they call a Freudian slip.
Freudian slip of some kind.
Yep.
I think so.
Yep.
Well,
yeah. I'm glad I don't suffer from those.
And thank you for the Hillary Clinton books, too.
No problem. Like I said, I didn't want to give those to you until after we were done because I was afraid it was going to, since she is in the news again today for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, no. I read that too. Silas Marner, the great author, wrote that, not The Old Man and the Sea, because that was Hemingway. But
you're right. Yeah.
But Silas Marner, there was something on his shoulders all the time that he had to go through life with it. You remember that?
Oh, I have that every day.
Well, that's kind of Hillary Clinton with the country. She'll never go away. She'll be sitting on our shoulders. We'll be feeling the full weight of Hillary for the rest of our lives, if you're a baby boomer anyway, and maybe into the next generation. I have no idea. Yep. She's just got to be there.
Maybe we should give her a chance.
We did twice.
Okay.
And many years before that, we kind of are familiar with her,
Okay.
She's a creature from the 90s. Do you really want to go down this road?
No, I don't want to go down this road.
All right.
No,
well, actually, she's
probably
me,
I'm trying to stay local here.
Yeah, well, she got beat by Obama because she was too moderate.
Fooled the American public.
Now, she was too moderate then. She's way too moderate now.
Yeah.
I think Obama is going to be kind of seen as a conservative here shortly.
Yeah, he's back in the news too.
He's back. That's right. That's
they're all coming back.
That's what's happening to the country. I mean, we have police officers shot and killed. We have people traveling long distances to shoot police officers. Some lunatic from Illinois drives all the way to Washington, D.C. to shoot congressmen, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And now we have an attempt to bomb George Soros's house.
Well, basically the whole East Coast, I think.
Yeah, and Bill and Hillary Clinton as well. And there was some anthrax powder. I think Obama was the anthrax powder, wasn't he?
I think they found powder and a bomb, I think.
Well, they were really after him.
Yeah, they were after him and the staff, I guess. Yep, not a good deal. I'm thankful I'm not the recipient of any of those things that I know of, but that's again, hopefully it's just an isolated event by one person who's living in a cabin.
Doesn't really sound like it, and then there's this lunatic up in Orange City, of all places. Orange City, Iowa, moderate Dutch capital of the universe, and he's taking books out of the library that deal with gay kids and burning them.
Oh.
I didn't get the symbolism of burning books.
Fahrenheit.
I can understand there is a discussion to be had about a public library in Orange City making sure that we have transgender and gay books in the public library. But the way to deal with it isn't to take the books out of the library and burn them in the street, for God's sake.
No.
What a blockhead.
That's violation of several property maintenance ordinances too.
Well, anyway, we're 10 minutes into the program, and and we haven't talked about the city at all. So, would you mind?
I'm sorry. I was trying to listen to David yesterday. I heard the praise for the city council, but of course you didn't post it because you're afraid I'd get my big head or something. But no.
Let me take care of that now,
Yeah,
Dr.
great.
Mink.
Yeah, well, that's good. We had several things that happened Monday night. We did have a meeting. You weren't there again.
You're
but
right, I wasn't.
We talked about several different things. A lot of the activity that we're doing this time of the year is kind of wrapping up things we talked about for the last couple years. The Community Sewer Initiative, Phase 2, which is the expansion. We just finished, we're finishing up $30 million of improvements. A lot of that work, you're seeing benefits, but the lack of sewer pumps in the road. And, we're not getting as many basements flooded, and there's not raw sewage all over the place and all that good stuff. So we are cleaning that up, and it's finishing up. Phase 2 will start now in the spring. We'll probably see some contracts let. More work on the south side. We're going to do another lift station up off of Williams Bend, continue to line some of the old sewer pipes and whatever, but that did add a little bit of cost. And, we know that it's a burden. I mean, we're well aware of that. We've talked about it and tried to make it an easy process, but we have to continue to move forward. It doesn't make much sense to stop at this point. You've heard before it was an $80 million fix, and we're $30 million into it, and this will add another 15, just over 15 million. And it's going to add $2.50 to your bill every month for the next year, and then it'll go up another $2.50, and then another $2.50. So in 3 years, it'll be a $7.50 additional charge. And these things don't appear to ever go away, but we are reducing the payments as time goes on. Eventually, the debt will be paid, but it's probably going to be 20 or 30 years, and more than likely, you won't be here.
More than
likely. But again, these things have to be fixed now. Otherwise, the DNR is going to come in and tell us we need to do all $80 million, which would really be a hardship on virtually everybody in the community. So we're trying to kind of pacify them and do these things in steps. And I think it's been well planned. We know it's been well engineered. And for what we're paying our engineers, it ought to be well engineered. And it's going to be a continual improvement over the next couple of years with the $15 million additional. So the south side of town is getting a lot of attention, a lot of flooding down there. And I think the majority of the work that's going to be done will be done in that south part of town. And, it's been a problem for decades, as you well aware. I think we've got the mall situation under control now with the intersections being done out there on 25th and 29th. So that area of town is pretty well taken care of with the new retention pond on 8th Avenue South. So we're going to be working on the sewers and continue to work on the sewers for the next couple of years. Will we be addressing this again in a couple of years? I'm sure we will be. We've got more work to do. Fortunately, most of the big projects have been done, so now it's a lot of little things. And again, these things are being done in a fashion that you may not even notice them. But again, the water is going away as it's supposed to, and the sewer is going away as it should. And we don't have the leak.
That's good.
Yeah.
That would really be a bummer if it didn't work.
Well, the good thing about this now is that we're dealing with the state revolving fund, the SRF money. That SRF money is a relatively low interest, 0 to 3% is what most of our loans have been. And a lot of times what they'll do is with the interest money that we do pay, they'll give that back to us for design work. So actually the interest is being rebated back to the city to do additional design work. And, it's really a good deal. And I see the federal government just signed an infrastructure bill a couple days ago that my buddy John Bozeman was instrumental in getting passed. But
your old college friend?
My old college friend, John from Arkansas. But they will be probably looking at some of that federal money over the next couple of years to help supplement what we've been borrowing from the state. And again, we realize this is a burden on the taxpayers because of fee increases. But, we've got to do it. And now's the time to do it because it's affordable, if you want to call it that.
Now, when you see John Bozeman, because I know you seek him out, does he acknowledge your presence?
Absolutely.
Does he ask? Does he act like he doesn't know you and
you
scurries away?
You can actually verify. I got a big hug from him this time.
You got a hug?
Yeah, I asked for it because
but no tongues. Right? No tongues. I'm glad to hear that.
John played lineman for the University of Arkansas, so he's
a big guy.
He's a little bigger than me.
So so you really don't want any tongue action from him.
When he gives you a bear hug, he's very soft spoken. He's a kind of gentle giant. I don't think he's probably not as dynamic as some of these other guys in Congress, but John has been in there for a number of years and is well respected and keeps getting reelected by a relatively large margin, served in the House, and now he's in the Senate. And I think he's, again, is a friend of a lot of people. So I consider him to be a good friend of mine. I get a Christmas card from him every year.
All right.
Yeah. Helps to send him money in his PAC, his PAC committee or whatever, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many times has he been over your house?
None. No, we don't hang. When I go to DC, we hang quite a bit. I'll be actually out there in a couple weeks again for a meeting, and I hope to have dinner with him. So if we do, I'll take a selfie and send it to you so you can be impressed. Yeah. But anyway, we also talked on Monday night about the power lines, as you know, 15th and 1st Avenue South. That will be redone probably next year. It's going to be converted to a turn, the right turn lane, left turn lane, similar to 25th and 29th on 1st Avenue South. The nice thing about that is that it's going to take probably, I would assume, I don't have the numbers, but I think that's probably the most accident-prone intersection in Fort Dodge right now.
That one is, really?
Because of the left turn. They don't have a left turn arrow, so it's a little bit of a challenge to get across that road when you're heading east and west.
I guess it is, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of accidents over there. A couple things they're going to do. They're going to bury a fiber optic line from the fire station. And when they put the new turn signals in on 1st and Central Avenue, the fire station, when they respond to a call, either an ambulance or a fire call, they'll be able to hit a button and that will turn the signals so that it will make it a lot easier for them to get out, which was kind of a concern that was expressed that with the traffic being changed there a little bit, they're actually looking at converting that into a 3-lane road instead of a 4-lane road.
Okay.
And it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, I think, for a lot of people. But the money that we got last year as part of the Snyder grant was actually through the state. They recommended doing
The
that.
Snyder grant.
Snyder worked on a grant for us, and Snyder Engineering.
So you just named it the Snyder
Oh,
grant.
yeah, the Snyder grant. Yep. You know, basically Snyder and
All right.
McClure. Everything's Snyder and McClure anymore.
I know it's Snyder and
We
McClure.
really need to find engineers that we can put on our staff that can do some of this work.
Over Matt Bemrick's dead body, will you ever get rid of McClure Engineering?
Well, that's probably true. Yeah, but they do a lot of work. I
Yes,
mean,
they do.
you look at the numbers, and they do a lot of work.
Yeah.
But anyway, the intersection, the power lines over there at the intersection would have had to have been buried or moved off to the side, and they looked at burying them, and it was about a $4 to $5 million cost to bury them from 5th Avenue South up to 1st Avenue South, which everybody agreed was a little bit excessive. So the agreement was to move the lines over to 14th. I think they're going to move some on 16th Street too. They'll take them off of 15th, so you won't have the lines coming across, and you'll be able to bury and get rid of the power lines on 15th Street for that 5-6 blocks. I don't know if anybody talked to the people on 14th to find out if they enjoy having all those power lines buzzing up above them, but I guess that's, they've obviously thought about that. The cost to the city is going to be $1.8 million, which will be paid back on your electrical bill, $5 a month for a year. I did ask if there was any additional anticipated expenses for easements, engineering, and all that kind of stuff, and I was reassured that the $1.8 million was pretty much it.
You bought that, huh?
I don't buy anything anymore.
I know.
I question that.
I have to check myself because I am cynicism, the embodiment of cynicism. That's who I've turned.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we have that I got to talk to Steve King about this one of these days if I ever get a chance to talk to him. They have this gross up tax that Mid-America.
Gross up
It's
tax?
called a gross up tax, and it's 21.7% of all public improvement projects that Mid-American's involved with. And I'm not sure exactly the logic behind this. I know we ran into that once before probably more than once on the power line burying. It was higher at one point, but this time on this particular project, the actual bid on the project was $1.4 million. And then they add a $400,000 gross up tax, they call it, and where that money goes, I don't know.
Gross up tax.
Yeah, I mean, maybe David or Matt can explain that. I got some information from Chad Schaefer on it, and I think it's an older tax that was enacted in Congress, something with public works improvement, and this. And we heard from a citizen on Monday night that was concerned because apparently Mid-American's owned by Berkshire Hathaway, a multi-billion-dollar company. I think that
it's Warren Buffett.
Buffett thing that makes lots and lots of money, and why
He sure does.
I don't know. I guess they could probably upgrade our infrastructure and not have to charge us so much. But I guess you don't make billions of dollars by giving stuff away. So the gross up tax added $400,000 to this bill. So we've got
The gross up tax.
Gross up tax did so. Again, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I mean, they're trying to stimulate the economy. Infrastructure is suffering across the country. And I think it's little things like this that probably stop a lot of cities from doing what they need to do in their infrastructure work. So it seems
Because of the gross up thing.
Yep. Well,
I kind of like that name.
Gross up. Yeah.
Gross up tax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would.
I think all taxes should be named gross up.
Yeah. But again, we could theoretically bond for some of this money. We could take $1 million, say, and put it into a GEO bond and pay it off through long-term debt retirement. That may eliminate the gross up tax on that portion, but the people I talked to weren't really sure on Monday night. But my reading of the way the gross up tax is determined, it indicates that we could eliminate some of that additional money. But again, our GEO bond for next year is pretty well maxed out at this point, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to throw any additional money into it without some serious looks at some other projects. So I think what you're going to see is a little bit of an increase in your electrical bill, $60 over a period of a year. And again, that will take care of that congestion and help get that intersection streamlined where it needs to be. So looking forward to that work. They are going to dig a new sewer line at the time that they're over there working. It's going to go to the fire station, the new addition at the fire station. And again, that's going to be starting in the spring, I hope. So it'll be good.
All right.
It's all good. We've got a lot of stuff going on.
Are we poised for growth?
I think we're beyond poised. I think we're ready.
I think we're ready.
I think we're there.
I think we've been poised for a while. It's time to actually.
I think we're rolling.
I think you're rolling.
We're rolling.
Well, I see the infrastructure, and that's great, and we needed it, and I'm all good with that. But I just don't see the growth yet. AM 1400 KVFT. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
First time I've ever heard of the term gross up tax. I had to look it up. A little definition.
Okay.
But the most consistent one seems to be that you guarantee the person, let's say it's a $100,000 contract. Well, you guarantee them they're going to get $100,000 even after taxes. So that's where this additional money is making up for the fact that the rest of it would have been paid out in taxes. So now you as the payer have to pay an additional amount. Sounds like a poorly written contract for whatever reason it was funded.
Yeah, it's not a contract. It's a federal regulation, is my understanding. So it's part of the, I guess, every energy bill that's written. So obviously somebody in DC was watching out for their business owners, would be my impression.
Thank you for that information on the gross up. That sounds, I've never heard of it before.
So you have a $100,000 bid in, and I'm guaranteed $100,000 even after taxes.
After taxes, you still get the $100,000.
Taxes and have to deduct that from whatever bid we submit.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, the rest of us, if we submitted a bid, we'd have to, $100,000, and then we deduct our own taxes, or the feds figure it out, and then you're left with like $80,000, $70,000, whatever. But nice little, pork barrel there. I don't know what you'd call it, the sweetheart deal worked into the law.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're not going to feel sorry for the person in South Carolina who won the $1.6 billion lottery prize, but actually they're going to get closer to $850 million after it's all done. What's that?
How will they make ends meet on it?
I don't know how they'll make. How will they make ends meet on a mere $850 million? I probably could work it out. I swear to God, I probably could.
I think I could too.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
There it is. 61. $5,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here is the fellow with 61. You're seeing a lot today. Well, you haven't seen anything like this, have you? Nobody ever has, Red.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Let me say again that the current election isn't about the Democrats versus the Republicans. It's about the people versus the elites of both parties. You got to vote. Let's get this done. Come on.
Ag producers. In a volatile ag economy, how can you protect more of your bottom line? Learn about supplemental revenue coverage policies from RCIS. Our full suite of products includes price and revenue options, including R-Powered, a new product with a higher level of revenue protection and increased flexibility. Need added protection? At RCIS, we've got this. Contact your crop insurance agent today. RCIS is an equal opportunity provider.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the two leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. Woo! We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubbell also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today, with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better Block event tonight. Main Street Ford Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization. So people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We've opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take-Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagala with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:35, and the weather is sunny today, high 58. Overnight increasing cloudiness with a low of 41 tomorrow. Maybe some showers, cloudy with a high of 51. On Friday, a little rain. Otherwise, cloudy with a high of 53. Saturday, sunny, high 55. On Sunday, a slight chance of rain. Otherwise, sunny with a high of 51. It will be windy on Sunday. On Monday, sunny with a high of 51. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 53. Right now, 55 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Father Ed Adams has passed away at the age of 98. Services for Father Ed Adams are pending. Dixie Paulson has died at the age of 86. There will be a service at 10:30 in the morning Saturday at St. Paul Lutheran Church for Dixie L. Paulson. Frederick Taylor has died at the age of 83. Mr. Taylor's funeral will be at 10:30 in the morning tomorrow here in town. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 55 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. 237 with a look at the closing market report. Here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn down 2 cents at $3.68 1/4. March down 2 at $3.80 1/2. May down 1 3/4 at $3.88 1/4. July down 1 3/4 at $3.94. November soybeans closed down 7 1/4 at $8.50 1/4. January down 7 1/2 at $8.63 1/2. March down 7 1/2 at $8.76 3/4. And May beans down 7 1/2 off at $8.90 3/4. December wheat closed down 9.5 cents at $4.99.5. Soybean meal down $4.60 a ton at $3.0610. October live cattle up 50 cents at $113.27. December up $1.20 at $118.35. October feeder cattle down 45 at $154.62. November up a nickel at $155.92. December lean hogs up $3 at $57.53. February also up the $3 limit at close at $64.42. I'm Dwayne Murley.
At Rank Seed, we've been looking out for our farmers for more than 170 years. We'll set you up for success no matter what happens on the farm. Even if your dog decides to take the Sunday ride on your new tractor.
No! No, no! Bad boy! Bad boy, down!
You've got enough to worry about. Let us take care of your seed. Rank Seed.
I'm Ann Meyer. After 31 years as a nurse, I've seen it all. I know Iowans because I've taken care of them and kept them healthy. I've also seen where our state can do better, like health care that's affordable and readily available, mental health and veterans care services for those who are too often forgotten, and encourage businesses to invest in Iowa's second-to-none workforce. I'm Ann Meyer, and from the exam room to the state capitol, I'll never stop working for Iowans.
Paid for by Ann Meyer for State House.
Look around you. This land, this barn, this crop, this cattle, this farm. This all began as your dream. So when people say American Family Insurance protects things, we shake our head no, because we protect this, and your dream is worth protecting. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly. American Family Insurance. Get a quote at amfam.com.
Yes, I'm a dreamer.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Alpha Media Fort Dodge cares. We care about our community. We care about you. And we care about our four-legged friends. Style and Pooch Dog Rescue is a place that we also care about. Style and Pooch Dog Rescue is a nonprofit facility, and they work very hard to find the perfect forever homes for their dogs. This is no easy task. It takes a lot to keep Style and Pooch running, and that's where you come in. Style and Pooch is in desperate need of cleaning supplies, dog food and treats, dog toys, and much more. You can see a full list of what is needed at yourfortdodge.com. Monetary donations will also go a long way for things like vet care and funds to get a new building. All donations can be brought to our studios at 200 North 10th Street until Wednesday, October 31st. And then we will take those donations to Style and Pooch ourselves. To see all the dogs you'll be helping, go to styleandpooch.weebly.com. Join us in helping raise funds and donations for all of our furry friends at Style and Pooch Dog Rescue in Clare. Thank you in advance from all of us at Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
I am neither he nor she, Mr. nor Mrs., male nor female. And the only part of me that's transitioning are my heels from day to evening. I am simply I, and I cannot be labeled. I am gender fluid.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
Well, there you go. We're gender fluid around here. Me and Minky, we look like old white guys, but don't jump to any conclusions. You know what I mean? Hell, we could be from Mars for all you know. That's right. It's good for a couple of girls like us to keep a little mystery about us, you know.
That's right.
So here we are.
I wore a pink shirt last week. And I got attacked for it.
Well, you should have. You look
it's
ridiculous.
October. It's Breast Cancer Awareness
You look like
Month.
a strawberry sundae.
It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think it's very important, since more than half of the people in the world are female, that you should support. Well, actually, I have two friends that had breast cancer, male friends. Yeah. So it's not just females. So that's important.
Is that what Pam has, breast cancer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you can come in dressed like a popsicle as far as I'm concerned then.
Yeah.
You can dye your hair pink.
I'll get my rainbow coat out.
Well, that's something you and I haven't got, a cancer thing. That's we don't want to be screwing around with that.
No, you've been down that road.
I've been down that road.
Yep. I did want to touch on a couple of kind of things here. The 150th anniversary of the founding of the great city of Fort Dodge will be next year. So I expect to see some, celebration, hopefully centered around the fort to help them kind of rejuvenate out there. But it's also the 60th anniversary of Noon Sertoma. Did you know that?
I did not.
60 years. We have one charter member that's still out there kicking, Paul Stevenson. I haven't seen Paul for a while. He was a charter member of the Noon Sertoma. We were actually working at an event, and I'm trying to get Chuck Long to come up and talk.
That would be great. I
Yeah.
see Paul every now and then out at J-Mars.
Yeah.
He's part of there's a couple old Sertomans out there. Larry Lighting
Yep.
lurks out there. They usually gather about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's when they wake up.
Yeah. And Dan, come on, Dan Strait. Yeah. Geez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan
They're
Strait.
Crime Stoppers, probably. That's Dan, and I know Larry Lighting has been involved in Crime Stoppers for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is Kim still involved? Your soulmate there on the council, Kim Allstad? He was on-
Well, yeah, I think so. I don't know. He hasn't talked about that for a while. So
Okay.
I'm assuming he's still on it. I don't know. Why don't you bring him on and ask him?
Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can make the call.
We'll make it then.
Okay.
Make it.
I tried to text him yesterday, and he told me he doesn't text, so I have to call him.
Last I knew he didn't. That was
I
kind of
for- I forgot.
advanced.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to try to get Chuck Long here. And another guy I'm working with, we had him here a couple years ago, is that Larry Spencer. I don't know if you've ever talked to him. Larry was a POW shot down in Vietnam.
Oh, he's from Sheridan or something.
Yeah,
Peyton over there somewhere.
Latimer or something. I think he lives in Des Moines now. But we're trying to get him up for an event, PTSD type event with some veterans. And so we're trying to get him and trying to get his contact information and him up here this spring. So we're planning some events next spring, which are going to be community minded, and hopefully we can get the support. But the big project that's going on in the community now, I don't know if you've been down to see the silo art here recently.
That's real good.
That's
I
really-
was going to ask you if there's any tax credits available for bars like the Top Hat.
Probably.
Okay. Well, I would explore that for me, Terry. Let me know.
Fred will probably eliminate him, so we got to be careful.
That's right. He probably will.
He doesn't like.
Oh, I'm being a toxic male again here, aren't I? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, we
I need to step up and show them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that silo art is
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's gorgeous. We were down there again. I was down there 3 days in a row, and it's just amazing to me that what he accomplishes with sitting back, and I don't know how he does it. But the hands, the vases he's got there, the faces, I mean, it's just amazing. And when you sit there and watch him work, he goes up and down, side to side, and he's 100 feet in the air. And I'd be barfing over the side of that thing all the time. It's pretty cool. But he's finishing up 2 figures. He's got at least 3 more he's going to be putting on there. I haven't seen the final design, but I know it's out there, and I know some of the faces. Probably you're wondering who they are, and I can't tell you. I know one of the people, but they're not up there yet. But he's doing a great job, and he's staying.
Terrific job.
Yeah,
Terrific.
he's staying with Scott Johnson, and he's there early. He stays late. He's up there in the cold, wind, everything. He's doing a great job, and I know there's a lot of controversy about that. I thought it had died down, but obviously every time somebody posts a picture, there's
There's
comments.
not that much.
No, there is if you look, and
Well, that's but that's just Facebook nonsense.
I know it.
You got to stop watching
I
Facebook
know
and
it.
Twitter.
I know
Who
it.
cares? I mean, I get on Facebook and I just try to start trouble.
You do.
Surprisingly
Yeah,
enough.
you get on the Des Moines Register site and start
Every now and then.
Yeah.
So when they let me on,
Yeah.
they don't let me on that much anymore.
They kick you off. But we do have a live feed. If you go to the Fort Dodge Public Art, there is a link to the live feed, and it's kind of boring, watching the live feed.
You mean the
because-
Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association?
No, it's the Public Art.
Fort Dodge Public Art.
Yeah, it's Fort Dodge Public Art webpage. You should like that and share it. We actually have a web page and a Facebook page.
Really?
But the live feed is on there. You just click on it, and then it shows you a lot of political signs in the foreground, which I don't, kind of, I guess, good for the candidates if we get a lot of people watching. But it's a shot from Amigos. Mark was able to, let us hook up to his internet and actually utilize that. And Iowa Central is working with the feed. So it's been kind of a community activity, and it's kind of a cool thing to have. So, and you'll be able to see it. He's moving around a little bit more to the south side with the older gentleman that he put on the back. There's a lady and a guy on the back side, and he started on the back, I think, because of the shorter days and the fact that the light will be better as the days get shorter over on the other side. So he started on the back, thinking he'd probably, work as the time changes. So he's, like I said, it's just really impressive. The detail on the guys, on the hands that he painted there, are just amazing. I took some close-up shots of it the other day, and it's just, I wish I had half of that skill and ability.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be great?
And it's just him. He's up there all by himself, and he's got all this paint, and he's controlling the lift, and he's painting at the same time. And doing a great job. Again, he did drop the price down a little bit to help accommodate us, and was able to work with us quite a bit on different aspects of the design. And he's been in town a couple of times at his expense, and he's just been a great guy to work with. Everybody I know that's talked to him and worked with him said he's very approachable, and obviously not 100 feet in the air he's not approachable, but when he's on the ground, he's a very good guy to talk to. So if you get a chance, we encourage you. You can go down there and park. You can get out, walk around. It's a little wet, but it's a very interesting thing, and I'm glad to see that come to a little bit farther along. He's going to take him about a month. Eventually, we're hoping to put.
So he could be up there when it's snowing, for God's
yeah,
sake.
he could. Well, he actually was up there, and it snowed a couple weeks ago. He was up there painting, but the way he's painting it, the paint he's using can actually be, I think, applied virtually in any kind of weather and any kind of temperature, and it dries quick. It's more of a stain, I think, than a paint. But we're going to develop a little park-like setting down there. Again, that's not city property. It is private, so we have all kinds of easements and agreements with the people that own that silo. But it's going to be, I think, a destination, and it's going to be a draw to the community. So encourage people to go down there and get out of your car, walk around, and take a look at it, because it's amazing what he's done. We are working on the pier art down in Pleasant Valley. We have the agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation now. We have the grant submitted for paying the artist for that. We're estimating the cost is going to be about $10,000. The Pleasant Valley Association Awareness Committee with Sherry Washington and the group that you had on the radio here a week or two ago. We've been
always
working
good to see Sherry in that group.
Sherry's got a lot of energy.
Yes, she does, and she's a person who works well with other people.
Yep, she loves everybody.
That's something that we need. We don't need the screamers and the people in the middle of the night with the torches. And
But we're working on a calendar as a kind of a fundraiser. Sherry wanted to bring people together and show that we actually do work together, and so we're having a little photo shoot tomorrow. We're going to try to get all the elected officials in Webster County. I mean, all of them, Jerry Bain and Kryenbrink and Helen Miller and all the supervisors and all of the councilmen. I guess I shouldn't say all, because there's other mayors and whatever, and Mayor Matt will be there tomorrow too. But basically the people we work with, we're trying to get everybody together for a group picture, which, as far as I know, has never been done before. We're going to put that on the cover of a calendar. And then inside the calendar, there'll be people that you'll recognize, the females with their mothers. So it'll be interesting to see how that all comes together. But Sherry's been working on this. It's been kind of a hurry up deal, because she wants to get everybody together and get some information out before the election. And those will be available for sale throughout the community. And again, all that money will come back to doing some work down in the Pleasant Valley area.
I think we have neglected perhaps the greatest political leader in the country today. That's Representative Mike Sexton.
Yeah, he's invited.
He's invited, but you didn't mention him.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
You
forgot
the Scrapster?
Well, I forgot, because it was a 50-50 chance that he was going to be there, because he's out farming.
He's out. Oh, yeah.
I was actually
he's out farming. So
yeah. So him and Jerry Bain both are out farming. So he was invited. I actually got a hold of Tim early this morning, Mr. Kryenbrink, our senator, and asked him to reach out to Mike, because I didn't have Mike's personal contact information. I probably could have found it. But he reached out to Mike and said that it was 50-50. And then, a couple of sly remarks back and forth from me.
Sly remarks from you?
Yeah,
I thought that would be snark.
Yeah, basically insinuating with the price of corn and beans that they really didn't have to work that hard, because it wasn't worth it anyway. And then next thing I know, Tim was being defensive again, So, yeah. So anyway, Mike is invited. Yes.
Mike is invited.
Yes,
How about if he wears a Speedo?
Yep, that's perfectly fine.
Perfectly
As long as it's yellow. Need a little color in the picture. So anyway, we are another event that we got going in Pleasant Valley. We're going to have Santa down there, probably at the new H.C. Merriweather Park.
Are you going to invite Santa?
Well, we're looking for somebody that's slightly overweight, that maybe has a beard, and
Yeah, but I'm bad Santa. You know that.
Yeah.
Last time I was Santa Claus, I wore aviator shades and had a cigarette dangling out of the corner of my mouth.
Yeah, I saw that movie. Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna do some food distribution, some gifts for some of the kids. That a lot of the kids down in the Pleasant Valley area are living with grandma, and it's a tough situation for some of those families. families. So we're going to try to make Christmas and the holidays a little bit brighter. And, we're working on different ways to provide with the kids down there that may not have as good of Christmas as what they deserve. So those are all things that are happening in Pleasant Valley. But the primary thing is that Pleasant Valley Pure Art. We wanted to get it done in September, but the funding was held up slightly. And so we're working on it. So a couple other things that are coming up. Obviously you saw the information where Congressman King, not Senator, Congressman King toured the Wardens, going to give us a letter of support for the Intermodal Transportation Hub, which is an application we have that's going to be announced in December of about $7.6 million of the $11.5 million cost. That's the first, key component of additional work being done for the rec center and the Warden Plaza project. The Warden, I can't tell you much about because I don't know much about it. I know it's still, we're waiting for historical tax credits from the National Park Service.
I swear to God, if I ever win a lottery worth $1.6 billion, I'll buy the Warden and I'll renovate it.
I offered to fix several things in town if I won, but that didn't happen. But the rec center, the fundraising has started on that, but I don't know how that is progressing. That basically there's a lot of moving parts, but I don't think there's a lot of communication about that. So I guess we're going to have to kind of wait and see, maybe have a sit down one of these days with all these fragmented groups and see where everybody's at and figure out what direction we're going. So it'd really be nice to see something done. I'd like to see the Wakanza Annex knocked down next spring. If we get that bill grant, that'll be the first thing we do is knock the Wakanza Annex down, I would assume.
I have spoken over the years. I don't know if you've ever heard me about the Fort Dodge Messenger and their gutless approach to local journalism.
Yeah, I heard that.
I see this morning now they have endorsed the Scrapster.
I saw that.
And they gave intelligent reasons for endorsing the Scrapster.
Good.
I thought it was a well-written piece and well-thought-out piece on the Scrapster. Just happened to be about the Scrapster, but
yeah.
I believe they also endorsed Senator Kreinbrink and Ann Meyer.
That could be.
I think they did.
Yeah.
But I was impressed with they didn't just come out and say, well, we like Scrappy. They actually gave real reasons why they were endorsing Representative Sexton for re-election.
Yeah. And they mentioned his businesses too, which is
mentioned
free
his
advertising.
businesses. Well, I don't know.
For him and Becky.
I don't know if he needs it that bad.
No,
I think Twin Lakes Environmental, they know who she is.
Yeah, they probably do.
And if they don't, she's going to hit them.
Yeah. So anyway, we're moving forward on the dam removals also. I would imagine we'll probably see something in December as far as the bid letting to get the people in to look at that. They are looking at the mussels, which are apparently an endangered species that sometimes exist in Iowa. With the water levels as high as they are, apparently they're having a hard time getting out there and finding any mussels. So I think they have to wait for the water to drop down, which I don't know if that's going to happen in anytime near future, but the mussels have to be more or less proven that they're not in danger of suffering any bad things as a result of the dam removals. So once the water level's down, the survey will get in there and do that. We're hoping that the tax credits for the stream bank stabilization, will be able to sell some of those for some other projects across the state. People that need to do stream bank stabilization as part of like a bridge project or a road construction will be able to buy the credits instead of actually having to do all the work. And we're hoping that we can make back some of our investment on that. And again, that's a source of income that we can use to not only, pay down debt, but we can also use that to fund future projects as we see fit. So it's going to be a win-win situation. Obviously, those dams have deteriorated to the point where they're not functional anymore. It's impeding the flow of wildlife, the fish up the river, and they're not safe, as we proved a couple years ago with those kids that almost went through it on that chunk of ice.
Mm-hmm.
There has been one fatality documented as a result of the turbulence at the dam, and that was at the Little Dam a number of years ago. So it's a dangerous situation. So not only will we get better recreation and hopefully improve the riverfront, but it will also be a safer environment for all of us. So
that'll be good.
Yep, be a good thing. I'm looking forward to those days. So But anyway,
where it's a safer environment
Yep.
for all of us.
Well, I think it's going to bring a lot of people to the community. I think a lot of people utilize whitewater. You look at the other whitewater facilities across the state. Des Moines looking at a multi-million-dollar investment in a whitewater facility downtown. Manchester and all those other little towns around that have done this over the years have really seen an economic boom. Not only are they getting the tourists in, but they're also getting new industry in and more shops. For some reason, microbreweries follow whitewater rafting. Apparently there's a connection.
Oh, microbreweries are just popular right
Yep.
now. That's all.
Yep.
I mean, I have a friend who's got one in his house. He does. I mean, he made wine and beer for, going back 25, 30 years.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And now he's got kind of in his retirement years, he's kind of got one in his basement. And
Yeah.
It's a finished basement, of course. And
Well, our buddy Steve Vance used to make beer in his basement.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if he
Vancine.
still does. Yeah.
I don't see Steve, regrettably. I don't see
Yeah.
Steve much
He's still
anymore.
around. I see him all the time.
Is he still in Sertoma or not?
Yep. Still in Sertoma. A couple things, as we had some bad news in Fort Dodge with the two brothers that got shot here the other day.
That's
and
ugly.
We've been talking, that North 9th Street has been a problem over the last few years. The lighting on North 9th Street is actually twice as much lighting as we have in other parts of town.
It ought to be.
Yeah, we got to increase that. We've got the geo bond, and I talked to David a little bit about improving the lighting even further, make it glow so that the people landing the airplanes actually complain about it. And then, we obviously have to increase patrols and get cameras in these areas. I mean, it's just it's a bad situation, and I feel sorry for the families. If you have any information or if you know of any information, please contact law enforcement. We just can't continue to have these things happen in our community.
Well, that's right. I mean, I'm still furious over the Don Preston murder.
Yeah.
Throw him out there in that field, for God's sake.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's not a way to treat anybody.
No, that's ugly.
Yeah.
That's just ugly.
Yeah.
And now this right in the heart of downtown.
Yeah.
And of
That's
course,
not-
I live half a block off North 9th. As a matter of fact, I got a call from the police today asking me if I had any outside security. Now, I don't. I have several security cam, 3 inside my house.
Yeah.
But I will have 3 outside my house in the very near future.
Yeah. Well, again,
it's too late for these poor guys or to help solve who killed these poor guys.
Yeah. But somebody knows something. This isn't the only situation.
Well, and that's so frustrating is because there are people who know, there are people who know who killed Don Preston and they won't come forward.
Wimpy, whatever. I can't remember Wimpy's real name. But he got shot.
Wendell, you mean?
Yeah, Wendell. Yeah. And he got murdered here, 2 years ago or whatever. And there's just too much of that
The
happening.
Preston murder, Lori's murder,
Laurie Anderson,
not solved.
Yeah. It's just bad. It gives us a black eye no matter what kind of economic
I don't even
improvement.
care about that. There's some people with very low character and lack of morals in our town, and they should be called out for it.
Yeah. Well, again, I'd like to think that it isn't people in town. I'm thinking it probably
We
is
got to
people-
go, Terry. Thank you for being here. 3 o'clock, KVFD, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
This is a Fox News alert. Both sides of the aisle condemning a string of suspicious packages. I'm Lisa Brady. President Trump says he's angry about the packages sent to several current and former government officials, all Democrats, including former President Barack Obama.
In these times, we have to unify. We have to come together.
He says an unmistakable message should be sent that any attacks or threats of political violence have no place in America. One of the packages was sent to the CNN office in Midtown Manhattan. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, from that package at CNN to others in D.C., Maryland, and California, these parcels have put local, state, and federal officials on high alert. NYPD Deputy Commissioner for Counterterrorism John Miller says the investigative conversations are ongoing.
About other incidents that are unfolding in other places. But suffice it to say, it appears that an individual or individuals sent out multiple similar packages.
The NYPD is not talking about any names on return addresses. So far, 6 packages are still being investigated. 3 others have been cleared as potential threats, Lisa.
Well, Gernal, another package was found at a congresswoman's office in South Florida, where Fox's Evan Brown is live.
And Lisa, the Broward County, Florida bomb squad has been here at the building that hosts Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office here in Sunrise all afternoon, all because a possible bomb arrived here. Now, we're told the device was not addressed to the Congresswoman, but to former Attorney General Eric Holder. But the sender got his address wrong and used Wasserman Schultz's office as the return address. Now, about 40 minutes east of here in Aventura, the city office building there was evacuated because a suspicious package addressed to the Congresswoman's office in that building arrived, but police say they're only acting out of caution. Lisa.
Thanks, Eben. A major sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow down over 600 points. This is Fox News.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies, or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Right now at VisionWorks.com, for a limited time, you can get 2 complete pairs of glasses, frames, lenses, the works, for just $49 on single vision glasses and $89 on progressives. And that's a good deal. But we offer that pricing on over 500 frames, which makes it a great deal. So go to VisionWorks.com to buy 2 complete pairs of single vision glasses for just $49 or 2 pairs of progressives for only $89. VisionWorks, we're here to help you. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Offer expires November 10th.
Suspicious packages remain under investigation at multiple locations, including in New York, Maryland, Florida, mainly addressed to top Democrats, including former President Obama and the Clinton home in suburban New York. One went to a CNN office in Midtown Manhattan. The Time Warner Center evacuated for hours as a result, has since reopened.
So far, the devices have been what appear to be pipe bombs.
John Miller, the counterterror chief for the NYPD, no packages or devices reached their targets. Thanks to the Secret Service and other mail screening efforts, there have been no explosions or injuries. A federal judge ordering the Georgia Secretary of State's office to stop rejecting absentee ballots based on certain issues, including whether a signature doesn't match the one on file. The judge says voters should be given a chance to explain or fix certain issues before a vote is rejected. Today's order recommends a procedure for resolving discrepancies. It gives the state and the groups that sued until noon tomorrow to say whether the language is confusing or unworkable. A mega mystery in South Carolina, where one winning ticket was sold for last night's near record jackpot.
CJ Patel is $50,000 richer after someone bought the winning Mega Millions ticket worth almost $1.6 billion at his KC Mart in Simpsonville in northwestern South Carolina.
I have think a lot about it, but I'll do some good with that money.
The jackpot winner or winners have 180 days to reveal the ticket and maybe themselves, though perhaps the luckiest part of winning in South Carolina is that it's one of 8 lottery states where winners can remain anonymous. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Again, high anxiety on Wall Street. The Dow drops 608 points. Both the Dow and the S&P are now in negative territory for the year. The NASDAQ plunging over 4% into correction territory. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the 2 leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. Woo! We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubbell also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today, with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better Block event tonight. Main Street Ford Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization. So people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We've opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take-Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagala with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 55. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 41. Tonight, cloudy skies expected. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for isolated rain showers. Highs level off around 51. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
The opinions and remarks expressed on this radio program by the host, guests, and call-in listeners are the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not reflect the views of management or ownership of KVFD AM 1400.
I'm Ann Meyer. After 31 years as a nurse, I've seen it all. I know Iowans because I've taken care of them and kept them healthy. I've also seen where our state can do better, like health care that's affordable and readily available, mental health and veterans care services for those who are too often forgotten, and encourage businesses to invest in Iowa's second-to-none workforce. I'm Ann Meyer, and from the exam room to the state capitol, I'll never stop working for Iowans.
Paid for by Ann Meyer for State House.
Iowa hog farmers have a lot to be proud of.
Proud of the quality products we put on tables around the world.
Proud of the strides we make to protect Iowa's natural resources.
Proud of the number of Iowans we're able to employ in safe workplaces.
Proud to protect and promote animal well-being in everything we do.
Iowa pork producers are proud because they do it right. And that's something all Iowans can take pride in.
Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
Iowa's pork producers work hard daily to produce safe, affordable food. Through the industry's We Care initiative, hog farmers are firmly committed to doing things right. That means keeping their pigs safe and healthy, safeguarding natural resources, protecting public health, and building strong communities. Producers fully understand the importance of pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement. It's the moral and ethical thing to do. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
Michael Devine, when you want compelling talk.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
Michael Devine, afternoons from 2 to 5 at AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. We are going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. I'm glad to welcome to the program for the very first time David Miller, who's with the Farm Bureau. How are you, David?
Doing fine.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. What do you do with the Farm Bureau? What's your job?
Well, the title's the Director of Research and Commodity Services. Function basically as the chief economist, work on policy issues and economic analysis of a wide range of issues.
Where you live, David?
I live in Ankeny.
Live in Ankeny. Do you farm?
I do farm. Got a couple farms down in Clark and Lucas counties.
Do you grow corn and soybeans? You have livestock? What do you got?
Corn and soybeans. The corn's all harvested. Got that done in September, and now waiting on beans to dry so we can hit the beans.
It was a lot drier down in southern Iowa than up here, I know.
This summer it sure was.
Well, I know a lot of farmers around here. We've just been getting pounded in September. We didn't get any field work done to speak of. I mean, some of it got done, of course. We've had just so much rain, especially to the west and north of us. It's just ridiculous. Northwest quadrant of the state has just been ruthless. So if you got your corn harvested and waiting on the beans to dry, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. When do you suppose you'll harvest the beans down there?
I hope to start this afternoon.
Oh, you're going to start this afternoon yet? Okay. What's your educational background, David?
Did a bachelor's in agriculture from the University of Missouri, MBA in finance from the University of Missouri, and then did all the coursework for a PhD in economics at Missouri.
Can we call you a doctor yet or not?
No, I did not finish the dissertation. Got a job, got involved with other stuff, had a family, and just that didn't happen.
That happens, doesn't it? You get a family and kind of school just gets okay. It's not the main priority anymore. Where are you from originally, David?
Northwest Indiana.
That's what I thought. We talked to you down at the Iowa State Fair, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we did. And that was a great conversation, by the way. I do want to kind of pick up the conversation as I remember it from the Iowa State Fair. At that time, we were kind of dealing with the news that President Trump was going to hold China's feet to the fire and start imposing tariffs. Now, I would like to back up a little bit and ask, first of all, your opinion of the USMCA agreement that has replaced NAFTA. Do you think the USMCA agreement that replaced NAFTA is a good deal or not?
Oh, it'll definitely, it's a good deal particularly for agriculture. I have not dug into all the details of it on some of the other sectors, but the reality is there really was not significant change for agriculture as a whole. Obviously, there's some additional dairy access with Canada. It did update some of the technology and some approval protocols across borders for biotechnology, some of those things, but really did not touch much on tariffs between U.S. and Mexico. The primary agricultural effect of it is probably on dairy, and that in the broader schemes of things was probably a good thing, but a minor thing. The real changes in it were probably more in the industrial markets, automobiles, etc. And I think when you get all said and done, it was probably a good update of NAFTA for all three countries.
What was the deal with, and we talked about this, I know the Iowa State Fair has been 2 months ago already, but we talked about this at the time concerning how Canada handled their dairy operation. They from what I understand, they know exactly how many people live in Canada. They have their milk producers, or dairy producers, I should say, produce enough for the people of Canada, and then they dump the rest of their dairy products on the open market, driving down the price of dairy products for other farmers, especially here in the United States. Is that what President Trump wanted to get rid of, and did he successfully get rid of that?
Yeah, Canada has a somewhat complex dairy structure because it is a supply control policy mechanism. I think in general, you described it correctly. One of the challenges Canada's had is that they've entered into agreements with, for example, the European Union that gave the European Union expanded access to the Canadian dairy market. They've done that with as part of TPP. They gave expanded access into the dairy markets, and it is difficult to play in the international trade arena in a supply-controlled domestic market. And so, the reality is what President Trump in the USMCA basically was arguing for much of what Canada basically agreed to with other countries in terms of expanded access, either out of the Canadian EU agreement and or the TPP. So it was in line with that type of market access. Will it be a negative to Canadian dairy farmers that have quota? Yeah, there's probably no doubt it will. But it was also because of some of the internal issues Canada has with their dairy program. They had created a tiered milk pricing program that, and it created about a year or so ago a class 7 of dairy products that really was in response to some new technology on separating dairy products into components that blocked exports that were coming into Canada of whey and some other non-fat milk solids, etc. And that really was something that was problematic because their prior agreements had left those markets unrestricted, but it's the problem of trying to run a supply control when you had unrestricted things by new products being developed that were part of the milk components that were undermining the Canadian system. So part of it's their own domestic milk policy that is really an anarchism of days gone by, and yet trying to play in international markets and trying to figure those things out. The access that the U.S. got to the Canadian milk market, I believe, ends up going from about 1.5% market access to 3+% milk market access, and then the higher tariffs kick in. So it was an expansion of access, but it is a relatively modest expansion.
Now, when you stay, first of all, our guest here at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, is David Miller. He's an economist with the Farm Bureau. When you say supply and control, you mean socialism, essentially, controlled economy.
Well, I don't want to get into that. I would just say
no. I'm David. Hear
there's
me.
Supply mechanisms.
Hear me.
And so, in a supply control market, you basically had to buy quotas. You can only sell up to what you have authority to sell.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get into a political thing here, but I do want our listeners to know what we're talking about. Supply and control is probably not something your average listener knows about right away. So that's all I was trying to do. Yeah, I'm certainly not trying to compare socialism to capitalism or blah, blah, blah. We don't need to do any of those things. We'll let somebody else argue about that. Are you ready, David?
Yes.
All right. We're going to try to pick up where we left off. Our guest here is David Miller at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, economist with the Farm Bureau. So will the Iowa corn growers be happy with USMCA?
Yes. I think it continues with essentially the trade arrangements we've had with Mexico on corn. The good news is, while the USMCA was being negotiated, corn exports to Mexico never really dropped off. Mexico did a one or two cargoes out of Brazil just to kind of make a political point during the negotiations of it, but corn exports to Mexico continued pretty much as normal while it was being negotiated, and they've continued on strong since then.
Okay. We don't do a lot of soybean trading with either Mexico or Canada, do we?
Mexico is. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're either number 2 or 3 in soybean export destination.
Okay.
I think they may be number 3.
All right.
But obviously, China was number 1. I think Japan might be number 2, and Mexico might be number 3.
Okay.
So a fair amount of soybean product goes down to Mexico.
We do export pork to Mexico as well, don't we?
Yes, they are either number 1 or 2 pork export market.
I know
they're in the top 2.
I know Mexicans like pork. They probably like pork as much as we do here in the Midwest. I mean, a lot of Mexican dishes contain pork, and it's great food. And I'm glad we can do business with them. Do they have much of a pork industry in Mexico?
They have a growing pork industry down there, but it is almost all supported by U.S. corn.
Okay.
And I mean, it's one where we have a much bigger demand for, I'll call it the loin part of the hog,
mm-hmm.
and for the bacon part than Mexico eats more of the variety meats, more of the hams, deli meats. So it works for them to buy the parts that they want, as opposed to necessarily trying to market the whole hog.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now, we did a separate deal with the European Union, correct?
The primary agreement in place with the European Union is still the WTO agreement from 1996. We are in the process and have been in the process of negotiating TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade Improvement Partnership, I believe is what it stands for. But a U.S.-European agreement has been under negotiation for about 5 years. We have not concluded it. We have done a few little, I'll call it secondary side agreements with them, but mostly on industrial products. The primary agreement governing agricultural trade with the European Union is still the WTO agreement that's getting to be 20 years old.
Yeah. So that's still what we're working with there. What progress is being made on the what did you say, Transatlantic Partnership Act?
The Transatlantic Trade Program. It's slow. President Trump has made it no secret that he does not like big multilateral trade agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the European Union, as part of the union, agrees that they will only negotiate a whole union trade agreement, not with individual countries.
Okay.
So the European Union does need to happen. While they're not United States like we are, the European Union does have the governing power, if you will, over their independent states or countries with regard to international trade. And so work is still going on it. The European Union is still fairly protectionist on a number of agricultural products. We have some major disagreements with them in ag trade. One is on labeling, on what I would call destination or origin labeling, in terms of can Parmesan cheese, is that a type of cheese, or is that cheese only from the Parma region of Italy? And there's a whole number of those products. Some of the European things are protected, others are not. An example is champagne. Europe the producers of champagne in France protected the name Champagne, so actual champagne can only be produced in the Champagne region of France. What we sell in the U.S. that is similar to champagne, we call sparkling wine.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see it labeled as sparkling wine.
Right.
Because
right.
they've protected the name Champagne. Well, they did not protect the name Parmesan. Now, Parma ham, they have. So but the European Union has a whole number of these geographic indicators that they would like us to say, we can't produce Parmesan cheese, or we can't produce Gouda cheese, that only the Greeks can do that. And we say, no, those names have become 150, 200 years of common usage. So we disagree on that. That is a significant point of disagreement.
That's wild, isn't it? Gouda cheese. We got to fight over the name. That's crazy. David Miller is our guest here at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Yeah, we're going to talk with David in the next half hour as well. We're going to talk about the crop forecast for this year and how the crops are looking, especially here in the state of Iowa, of course. But I do want to finish up on a couple of trade deals. You mentioned that President Trump is no big fan of multilateral trade deals, but he did make some noise after killing the Trans-Pacific Partnership Act. He came back within the last 6 months, to say maybe we should have another look at it. Do you know anything about that?
I don't think it's going anyplace.
Okay.
I think we are much more likely to use the framework of TPP to work out individual trading arrangements with Japan, possibly Vietnam, maybe Indonesia, and maybe the Philippines. We already have trade agreements, bilateral trade agreements with 6 of the 12 TPP partners. And so I think it's much more likely to take the top 2 or 3 trading partners out of TPP and see the administration pursue bilaterals. I think just in the last week or 2 weeks, there was something out of the U.S. Trade Representative's office for maybe a schedule for entering into negotiations, a schedule of negotiations with Japan. Likewise, I think they've actually talked a little bit about maybe doing some stuff with China. China was never a part of TPP, but I think there were 3 countries that they talked about maybe scheduling some actual serious trade discussions with, but kind of prominent on that list was Japan.
Yeah. Do we still have a healthy trading relationship with Japan?
We do, and it's the agreement or the rules we operate with with Japan are the WTO rules.
Okay.
So we operate under the WTO rules with Japan. We do not have any special trade agreement with Japan, but Japan's been a very good customer of the U.S. I believe they are our number 1 beef market. They're in the top 2 or 3 for corn, soybeans. They're a good pork customer. So Japan is a good ag trading partner with us.
All right. David Miller is our guest. He is an economist with the Farm Bureau and a farmer here in Iowa. He has farms, a couple of farms down in Clark and Lucas County. And we're going to come back and talk with David more in the next half hour. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
There it is. 61. $5,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here is the fellow with 61. You're seeing a lot today. Well, you haven't seen anything like this, have you?
Nobody ever has, Red. Michael Divine with breaking news and stimulating talk.
That's right. Breaking news, stimulating talk. We're going to give you some news right now. It's 3:31. Then we're going to be back with David Miller at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Did you know that the fastest growing health epidemic in this country is age-related memory loss, which includes dementia and Alzheimer's disease? With top brain doctors, research, and ongoing medical trials, there is hope. In fact, now you can sharpen your mind, creativity, and improve your mental performance in any aspect of your life. Introducing Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Limitless is a major discovery in the world of supplements to boost the power of your brain. Take it, and within 37 minutes, you'll experience a huge lift in memory and extreme concentration that will have you feeling almost unstoppable. Release your inner genius with this amazing breakthrough. Limitless, the world's best smart pill. Call now and find out how to get a free bottle for a limited time.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-4757. That's 800-605-4757. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-605-4757. 800-605-4757.
Tough as nails, nerves of steel. If you've come to test our metal, you better tighten up your chin strap. Get amped up for all the gridiron action on the Panther Sports Network.
University of Northern Iowa Sports are brought to you on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, by Mitch Lund State Farm, Party Productions, The Other Store, and New Age Media. Catch UNI Sports right here on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
Merrill Loeffler has been an outstanding supervisor. With his long history as a successful business person, Merrill Loeffler has earned the respect of his colleagues, the courthouse staff, and the public. It's obvious Merrill loves our community and our county. He understands we're on the verge of real change and offers you his years of experience, his passion for our community to make things better for you, your family, for all of us. Re-elect Merrill Loeffler, forward-thinking, progressive.
Paid for by committee to re-elect Merrill Loeffler.
The news and weather brought to you by the committee to re-elect Merrill Loeffler supervisor.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the two leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. Woo! We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubbell also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today, with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Fort Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better Block event tonight. Main Street Fort Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization, so people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagala with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Let's check the weather first of all. Not bad as far as the farmers getting work done in the field. Sunny today, high 57, exactly where we are right now. Overnight, increasing cloudiness with a low of 41. Tomorrow, a little bit of rain early in the morning, then a chance of rain early afternoon. Cloudy with a high of 51 tomorrow. On Friday, a chance of rain early in the morning, cloudy with a high of 53. Saturday, sunny, no rain in the forecast with a high of 56. On Sunday, a slight chance of rain again early in the morning. Other than that, sunny with a high of 51. Monday, sunny, high 51. And Tuesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 53. Right now, 57 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 307 South 12th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-3156 or online at www.loftusfilerseaversfuneralhome.com. Dixie Paulson has died at the age of 86. There will be a funeral service at 10:30 in the morning Saturday at St. Paul Lutheran Church for Dixie L. Paulson. Visitation from 5 to 7 Friday at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home. Father Ed Adams has died at the age of 98. Father Ed Adams has passed away. Services for Father Adams are pending at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home. Mr. Frederick Taylor has died at the age of 83. There will be a service for Frederick L. Taylor, and that'll be at 10:30 in the morning tomorrow at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home. Visitation 4 to 7 today, again, of course, at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 307 South 12th Street in Fort Dodge. You may contact Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-3156 or online at www.loftusfilerseaversfuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Take the worry out of winter with a winter weather advisor on KVFD, brought to you by Community Health Center Fort Dodge, offering dental, behavioral health, and general medical assistance for men, women, and children. They're committed to your well-being. Community Health Center. Get to know them. And Creative Cakes, making life sweet with espresso, lunch, gourmet cupcakes, and other sweet treats. Creative Cakes in the Crossroads Mall, Fort Dodge. They make life sweet. Listen for the winter weather advisor on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 339. The news and weather brought to you by the committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler supervisor.
Merrill Leffler has been an outstanding supervisor. With his long history as a successful business person, Merrill Leffler has earned the respect of his colleagues, the courthouse staff, and the public. It's obvious Merrill loves our community and our county. He understands we're on the verge of real change and offers you his years of experience, his passion for our community to make things better for you, your family, for all of us. Re-elect Merrill Leffler, forward-thinking, progressive.
Paid for by committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. 340, 57 degrees with a look at the closing market report. Here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn down 2 cents at 368 1/4. March down 2 at 380 1/2. May down 1 3/4 at 388 1/4. July down 1 3/4 at 394. November soybeans closed down 7 1/4 at 850 1/4. January down 7 1/2 at 863 1/2. March down 7 1/2 at 876 3/4. And May beans down 7 1/2 at 890 3/4. December wheat closed down 9 1/2 cents at 499 1/2. Soybean meal down 460 a ton at 306.10. October live cattle up 50 cents at 113.27. December up 120 at 118.35. October feeder cattle down 45 at 154.62. November up a nickel at 155.92. December lean hogs up $3 at 57.53. February also up the $3 limit at close at 64.42. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Today is National Bologna Day. But what is bologna? I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Bologna is a sausage and is made from the trimmings of pork and beef steaks and roasts. Much like hot dogs, the meat is ground and mixed with spices, put in casings, and cooked. Eric Mittenhall, president of the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, says bologna is extremely versatile and well known.
Well, it's something we all grew up with. It's something that most of us have enjoyed bologna sandwiches as a child. I think in recent years, as people are looking for fresher products, bologna, the popularity has diminished a little bit. But I think, a lot of people don't really know that much about bologna and the different types that are out there and the variety of ways that it can be prepared. Even in developing the new guide that we put together, we weren't even aware of the bologna wrapped hot dog that's available in Baltimore. And we're the hot dog experts. We hadn't even heard of that before. But fried bologna sandwiches in Memphis, there's a lot of really unique ways that you can make bologna that chefs have really started getting behind as well. So, if you enjoyed it as a child and just think of it as a simple bologna sandwich, those are great, but there's almost a bologna renaissance that's on the verge of happening, we feel like, with some of the chefs behind it.
There are low sodium and flavored bolognas to choose from. It's high in protein like the meat it's made from. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Michael Devine, when you want compelling talk.
iPod, huh? Was that some sort of space capsule?
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Here it comes in 5. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, and we're back talking with David Miller, who's an economist with the Farm Bureau. And he is an active farmer, of course, and he has a strong economist background in agriculture. Now, we were talking with David in the last half hour about some trade agreements. We didn't quite get it wrapped up. Some would say that it wasn't a good idea to let China in the WTO back, in 96 when we got it going, because they've moved very aggressively ever since. And some countries complain about being bullied by China. And it seems that I seem to find that in the rhetoric of President Trump that China takes advantage of us and steals our technology and all of those things. Is that the way it looks to you or not?
Well, a couple different things there. One, is it a good thing to have them in the WTO? The answer is yes. Without it, you had no mechanisms for really dealing with them to get resolution of legitimate trade issues. And so it is much easier to do it within the framework of the WTO. And it did reduce some of their blatant manipulative type of things, but it has not eliminated all of them. And that's one of the things that I think when you see agricultural, particularly a lot of farmer support for the president standing up to China, it's been because there have been a whole series of things that China has done over the last couple decades that are in that framework of market manipulation. China has been a terrific customer for U.S. soybeans. But how did they get there? Well, they got there partly by banning U.S. soybean meal.
Okay, explain that, please.
In the late 1990s, as China began to upgrade the rations that they use for their livestock and expand their livestock industries, we were on a trajectory of sending them more and more soybean meal. And then China made an internal decision that they wanted to build their own domestic crushing industry, that they wanted the value-added aspect of that. They banned U.S. soybean meal and said, we'll buy your soybeans. And so we ramped up soybean export sales to China. But it cost us at the time about someplace between 10 and 15, maybe even 20% of our domestic crushing capacity went idle. And so we had a retraction of our crushing industry as China built out their crushing industry. China did it with state-supported dollars building that crushing industry. They now crush, I think it's 52% of all the beans in the world are crushed in China. And we've had almost no expansion of the crushing industry in the U.S. for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was, normal things would have had China probably moderately expanding their crushing industry, but also buying soybean meal. But no, because they put basically a ban on U.S. meal, not only U.S. meal, but Brazilian meal, and they said, we're going to buy beans because they wanted the jobs, they wanted that value add.
Sure.
And in that regard, they bullied the soybean market. And I would argue, has it been good for the U.S. soybean farmer? Yeah. Could it have been better and better for rural communities? The answer is absolutely yes.
Well, what's
the difference between, think about what we did with the ethanol industry and all the value add that's added to our rural communities by having that next step value added in our rural communities. We got 42 ethanol plants here in Iowa versus we haven't built a soybean crushing plant in who knows how long.
Well, what else could we have done? I mean, it sounds like a trade-off to me that China was going to buy our beans, but they were going to insist on crushing them. Could we have pushed back strong enough at the time? And I don't know who was president at the time. I know we had some presidents who I felt gave away the farm in these trade deals a couple of times over the many years. But could we have pushed back and said, no, that we're going to sell you soybeans and we want to crush them as well, and we want to send you the meal?
Well, it began under the Clinton administration, but it continued under the Bush administration, and neither one of them did anything with it. In fact, I believe China entered the WTO in 2002, and because they wanted China in the WTO, particularly for industrial and some other issues, in terms of consumer good access and other things like that, in the finance markets, etc., this type of agricultural issue got totally swept aside. But it's the example that even once it came in the WTO, nobody's gone back to China and said, wait a minute, why this ban on, why have you not authorized U.S. soybean meal? And in Brazil, and what difference does it make? It probably makes about 20 cents a bushel difference on every bushel of beans we've produced for the last 20 years.
That's interesting.
Or the last 15 years.
Last 15 years.
And yeah, probably 15 years. And so, but it's every bushel because of the difference of that local demand versus purely an export demand.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Our guest is David Miller, an economist with the Farm Bureau. What can we say about the tariff war that we got going on with China right now? Nobody wants to say trade war, but it looks like a trade war to me. Are we making any progress? I mean, I've said on the air many times, David, I hope that Donald Trump is going to pull an October surprise and just before the election announce some big breakthrough in the talks with China as far as agricultural products are concerned. Because I tell you, the pork producers don't want to hear about this tariff, and neither do the soybean producers.
I would not expect an October surprise. Where I think one of the ways to characterize the trade situation with China is China's been shooting at us with trade bullets for 15 years, and we've never responded, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I use the examples, soybeans as an example. Well, we kind of took it. Okay, well, you'll take our soybeans, so I guess we'll sell you soybeans. But it cost us. There's no doubt that there was a cost to that. China was either our first or second poultry market in 2012. And then they put a ban on some U.S. poultry because of avian influenza. We now sell China zero poultry.
Really?
So we've lost them as a number one poultry market. They were the number one. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Right.
But there's been several different. Well, Syngenta corn. We were selling them the Mir 162 trait with Syngenta corn in 2011 and 12, no problem. Oh, then China raised the domestic support price for political purposes inside China to over $10 a bushel, and they wanted to stop the flow of U.S. corn because they were building up domestic stocks. So now Mir 162 is not acceptable. Well, it's blended into the U.S. system, so we didn't sell them any corn for a couple of years. Then China needed our corn again by 2014, and it's like, oh, now Mir 162 is fine. That's manipulation.
That is
That's
manipulation.
Pure and simple. It's purely manipulation. And that kind of stuff has been going on in market after market. Recently, this spring, we had shiploads of grain sorghum headed to China, and China said, oh, we're going to put an anti-dumping suit on U.S. grain sorghum. And so before those ships can dump, they got to deposit with us 172% of the value of the cargo.
Really?
Well, the ships stopped basically out on the ocean. 4 or 5 of them diverted to Vietnam and other places. And then China, about 3 months or 6 weeks later, said, oh, I guess we're not going to do the duty. And it's like, well, in the meantime, grain sorghum prices in the U.S. dropped $1 a bushel. So it's this kind of manipulation that is purely government type of manipulation that has occurred, and the U.S. farmer has been at the mercy of China. Other than soybeans, they have been a very unreliable market. It reminds me of Russia in the 70s, where they're big in the market one year and then they want nothing the next year.
Sure.
Well, how do you deal with that? Well, it spurs you one year, but you ramp up production, then they put in a government intervention that stops something, and the next thing you know, prices crash. And it's how do you gear up for that type of an arrangement? You know, even with the current soybean one, we didn't put the tariff on soybeans. China chose to have a food fight. with all the other countries, the disagreements and the counter tariffs have all basically been in the industrial and consumer goods areas where the trade issues are. China's the one that chose to retaliate first with pork with a 25% additional tariff on top of the 13% tariff they already had on U.S. pork. Then they threw another 25% tariff on, so we're a 63% tariff on U.S. pork. We're up to a 28% tariff on U.S. soybeans. Well, Mexico didn't do that.
No.
Canada didn't do that. Europe didn't do that. And so China's the one that chose to make this a political food fight. And why did they do it? Because they want to manipulate U.S. midterm elections. And they've been blatant about that.
You know, and
we chose what we're doing to try and manipulate your elections. And we shouldn't be upset about that. Sure, we ought to be upset about it.
Well, who do they want to win in the midterms? I still can't figure that out. I've heard that before several times. We might have talked about it back at the state fair days. Who do they want to win? They want Trump to be negotiating with them, or they want the Democrats, or who?
Oh, it's clear that they have been very, I mean, they bought a 4-page insert in the Des Moines Register a couple weeks ago with, I call it a propaganda sheet. And it was very much, well, we've done nothing wrong. This is all because Americans are racist and Americans are imperialists and Americans are nationalists. It was very much directed at Trump, anti-Trump. And the reality is, I was over in China in July. They didn't even want to recognize that there were even any legitimate trade issues. This is all made up by Americans. No, that's not the case. There are a whole series of years of trade issues. Oh, there is no Chinese espionage going on stealing genetics and trade. Well, yes, there are.
Oh, that's
in fact, we know that's happening. Oh, there's China doesn't require U.S. companies to give away or steal their technology. Well, yes, they do, in order to get access. Well, those things are blatantly against the agreements that they entered into with the WTO, and they just haven't adjusted. And over the years, they've just made no recognition of a number of these trade issues. Now, that's not to say China hasn't improved some things in some areas, but in a lot of areas, they haven't changed what they've been doing. They've had 15 years as members of the WTO to adjust some of these things. And to be honest, President Trump finally called their bluff, if you will, and said, wait, had enough of this.
Yeah, really. Yeah. David Miller is our guest. He's an economist with the Farm Bureau. This is AM 1400 KVFD. We got to talk here just in the last few minutes about the forecast, or not the forecast, but the outlook for the harvest season. Are we going to have a good year?
Oh, we've got a record crop, both probably corn and soybeans. I mean, the yield is good if we can get it out of the field. Same for corn and soybeans. Soybean, the quality is deteriorating a little bit out there. We are seeing more pictures on social media and on the internet of sprouting and pod shattering, that kind of thing. We need this dry weather spell. We talk about the excessive rainfall. I happen to be in an area where by state fair time, we were 11 inches below normal on rainfall, and now I think 3 inches above normal for the year. So since state fair time, I've had, I think it's 220% normal rainfall, or I don't know, it's been something like 26 inches or something since state fair time. So I've made up all that I was short. It's all come in September, October. And Northeast Iowa is even worse off than we are. They have blown away the record for total September, October rainfall. I think we've tied or close to set the record in most of the state. Is probably going to see a combined September, October record
This
rainfall.
is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers,
records
and
that
you
we're
can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
This is a Fox News alert. A string of suspicious devices sends stocks tumbling. I'm Lisa Brady. A recap on Wall Street in a moment. First, the latest on the packages sent to multiple locations, including a CNN office in Manhattan, but mainly appearing to target top Democrats. Fox's Gernal Scott with more live.
Lisa, by the latest tally, 6 packages were confirmed threats. 3 in New York at the home of billionaire George Soros on Monday, and today at CNN, and 1 addressed to the home of Bill and Hillary Clinton in Chappaqua, for which Mrs. Clinton, at a campaign stop in Florida, thanked Secret Service.
Who intercepted the package addressed to us long before it made its way to our home.
Another was addressed to the Obamas in Washington and also to Florida and Maryland, 4 Democrats. 5 packages were cleared. 3 in California, and 1 received by New York's Governor, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Well, some on both sides of the aisle condemning any acts of violence.
This egregious conduct is abhorrent to everything we hold dear and sacred as Americans.
President Trump says those responsible must be held accountable. But the CNN president, Jeff Zucker, slamming the president for his attacks on the media, accusing the White House of a complete lack of understanding that words matter. Meantime, the Dow drops 608 points. The package is getting much of the blame, but not all of it.
One of the traders telling me today that they are nervous ahead of the election because they feel like all the kinds of policy changes, tax change, regulatory change that were put in place by this administration and the White House, the Trump administration, could be at risk.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis at the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ in correction territory. Late reports of a shooting at a Kroger grocery store in suburban Louisville. Also reports of one person in custody. This is Fox News.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies, or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Right now at VisionWorks.com, for a limited time, you can get 2 complete pairs of glasses, frames, lenses, the works, for just $49 on single vision glasses and $89 on progressives. And that's a good deal. But we offer that pricing on over 500 frames, which makes it a great deal. So go to VisionWorks.com to buy 2 complete pairs of single vision glasses for just $49 or 2 pairs of progressives for only $89. VisionWorks, we're here to help you. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Offer expires November 10th.
The president's comments today condemning those package attacks came at a bill signing event in the fight against opioid abuse.
The president touted the progress that his administration is already making in stopping the flow of illicit drugs at the U.S. border.
We are shutting down online networks, cracking down on international shipments, and going after foreign traffickers like never before.
The bill contains more than 70 provisions to expand treatment and recovery for Americans dealing with opioids addiction. The administration is also trying to tamp down on supply.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. For the first time in 2 decades, a new kind of flu drug wins FDA approval. It's a pill, Xofluza, designed to reduce the severity and duration of flu symptoms, made in part by the same company that makes Tamiflu, Roche Group. Last winter, an estimated 80,000 Americans died of flu and its complications, the highest number in several decades. 3 college basketball insiders, including an Adidas executive, found guilty of corruption today in a case centered around secret payments to the families of top recruits, luring them to programs sponsored by Adidas. Game 2 of the World Series tonight in Boston.
A frosty night ahead at Fenway Park as the LA Dodgers try to even things up before heading home for Game 3. Temps are expected to dip down to the low 40s, but the wind will pick up. No fears of rain, though, on the horizon after some wet weather before last night's 8-4 win for the Sox to take the 1-0 series edge. The Dodgers send Hyun-Jin Ryu to the mound for Game 2 tonight as he looks to recover from his postseason struggles away from Dodger Stadium. As for the Red Sox, they'll rely on David Price this evening after his playoff redemption in the ALCS. First pitch in World Series Game 2 slated for 8:09 Eastern Time.
Fox's Matt Napolitano at Fenway Park. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the 2 leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. Woo!
We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubble also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better block event tonight. Main Street Ford Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization. So people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We've opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take-Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagala with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 55. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 41. Tonight, cloudy skies expected. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for isolated rain showers. Highs level off around 51. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
The opinions and remarks expressed on this radio program by the host, guests, and call-in listeners are the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not reflect the views of management or ownership of KVFD AM 1400.
If you're ready to start a rewarding new career, listen to this. Good Samaritan Society Manson is now hiring for 2 part-time dietary positions, an evening cook and a daytime dining room aide. Good Samaritan Society Manson is an outstanding 5-star Christian care facility caring for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Qualified applicants may apply online at good-sam.com. That's good-sam.com. Good Samaritan Society is an equal opportunity employer. Women, minorities, and veterans are encouraged to apply.
I'm Ann Meyer. After 31 years as a nurse, I've seen it all. I know Iowans because I've taken care of them and kept them healthy. I've also seen where our state can do better, like health care that's affordable and readily available, mental health and veterans care services for those who are too often forgotten, and encourage businesses to invest in Iowa's second-to-none workforce. I'm Ann Meyer, and from the exam room to the state capitol, I'll never stop working for Iowans.
Paid for by Ann Meyer for State House.
Michael Devine, when you want compelling talk.
Please meet Katie. Katie says she needs to tell her fiance the truth before their baby is born. Katie, what's going on?
Well, I'm 4 months pregnant, Jerry, and I've been cheating on him with another woman.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
There we go. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Yeah, if you want to hear and see what happens in the studio, go to YouTube to 1400 KVFD. That's lowercase letters. Go to YouTube 1400 KVFD, or you can call in the show 515-955-1400. This is the time of week when we have someone from the Board of Supervisors, the Webster County Board of Supervisors, in the studio, and by God,
we're
got
here.
A supervisor.
We're
Keith
here.
Dinklaw. How you doing, Keith?
I drew the short straw.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on.
No, I said I'd come today.
All right. It's always good to see you. Well, we can't have Marilyn here because he's running. He got his 20 minutes of free airtime.
Hey,
yesterday.
I'm on the ballot too.
That's right.
so
We better get you.
I'm
your-
on the ballot too, so I get my 20 minutes of free time here.
If you got B, it would really be embarrassing.
That would be bad. A lot of people don't know that I'm on the ballot, but I am. in
Yeah,
District
that's
1.
right. I voted here. I think the first day you could vote was October 8th, and I voted either that, I think, the following Monday. Anyway, I got the vote done, and I saw you on the ballot. I voted for you.
Well, thank you, Mike.
As opposed to some other candidate.
Some other write-in. Some other write-in.
If you have another choice, write
Yeah.
it in here. So I went
Yeah,
ahead and
well,
voted for you.
I appreciate that.
That's
And I
quite
want
all
to
right.
thank all the voters that voted for me already.
Yeah,
Because the courthouse is busy every day. I want to remind everybody they can vote in the courthouse right now at the auditor's office. And you know, there's probably what do you think? There's 15, 20 boxes to fill in on the ballot.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes a little time. So
There's a couple of judges that are up
Oh,
for
yeah.
attention. And I mean, you don't have to vote for everybody, but it would be good if you did.
yeah, but if you're in a hurry, you know, and you're at
Yeah.
the polls and there might be a line because it's going to take a while to get people through the polls, I think.
Oh, I think
With all
so,
that,
too.
with everybody on the ballot.
I've heard from people who work at the courthouse. It's been quite a
Yes, it's been there's
pretty
people there
busy
every
over
day.
there.
There's people there every day, all
Yeah.
day voting, which is great.
Some guy in our breakfast group who probably doesn't vote. He was telling me his wife was saying that it was always busy over there. People wanting to vote.
It is. Every time I've been in there, there's been people standing there in line waiting to vote.
Well, that's a good thing.
That's a
you
great
know,
thing.
That is that's the only time we ever get to say anything about who leads us and the ideas that are going to lead us. So the more people that vote, I'm happy.
Don't complain about what's going on if you don't vote.
That's exactly right.
That's
isn't
a
it?
fact right there.
You know, I used to hear people say, I'm going to complain about this guy or this person or whatever. But I didn't vote because I didn't think my vote would make any difference. Well, whining in a bar somewhere.
Sometimes it does.
Whining in a bar somewhere makes a difference.
One vote does make a difference once in a while.
Yes, it does.
We've had a couple elections with that.
If you have a question or comment for Supervisor Dinklaw, 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. The county just bought some land. Why did you buy some land?
Well, there was 40 acres left out in front of Cargill there that we hadn't bought yet. And we've been working on it ever since last fall, getting it bought. We finally got negotiations together where we got it bought. So we own everything between the two cement roads, Harvest and Green, and south of Highway 7.
Well, how much did you pay an acre?
Well, it depends. We paid 21,000 for some, we paid 23 for some, and we paid 25 for some. It was
An
by
acre?
a CSR. Yeah, it was by a CSR value. We gave a little extra because of the location. I mean,
Boy, that's a
yeah,
lot.
I mean,
That's double the price.
well, it's about
usually.
2.1, 2.5 to 1.
2.5
Yes,
to 1.
yes, that's what the offer was. Times the CSR value, times the whatever it was selling the average price in Webster County for that month.
Boy, that farmer was happy as hell, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were. Well, we had a hard time getting the one bought because they wanted way more than 25,000 an acre.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then finally they came down to reality, and we finally got it sold.
Wow.
Bought, I guess.
Well, all right.
So if somebody comes in now and wants to build we're ready to go. They know what the price is. You can't come in. Well, what's the price going to be? Well, somebody knows somebody's coming in, a big factory. They might charge 50,000 an acre or 80,000 an acre.
So we're poised for
We're
growth.
poised for growth. Yes, we got it bought, and we will get all our money back from Cargill when somebody comes in to buy it. We'll get interest on our money plus all the expenses. So we're not going to be out anything in the end.
There was a lot of conversation about the Fort Dodge Rec Center, or not Rec Center, but Aquatic Center, where it was going to be placed, because it was just assumed then that a housing division would go into the north and east of the Aquatic Center. And,
Well, someday there might be.
oh, there will.
There will be someday. I mean, they're already building to the south.
Yeah. Well, oh, absolutely. Why am I getting calls from Berkeley, California?
Well, I don't know. It sounds like a personal problem. Did you pay your taxes out there?
Yes. Well, I was stationed out there for a year and a half in the
Yeah.
service, but I'm sure I paid all my fines.
Well, you might have a couple of fines or a couple of bills come due. You never
Oh,
know.
God, that was 47 years ago. You suppose the statute of limitations.
Yeah, they're run out, so you're good to go.
All right. So, where did this money come from?
Well, you have an ending fund balance, and you always have extra money in your account. We don't have any extra money, but you have an ending fund balance that you have to keep liquid, not really liquid, but you always have $4 or $5 million in the bank to keep the county going from June, July, August, September. When in between the tax collections, you have to have a fund. And it's the ending fund balance. And we had some extra money in there that we used. So we're not going to raise the taxes. We're not, we didn't have to do anything like that. We had the money to buy it.
So the total purchase price on what, 40 acres at that much per
It
acre?
was close to $1 million.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, I should have run out there and bought that a few.
But if we would have had that money in a bank someplace drawing 0.5%.
Right.
That's where it's at. It's in the bank drawing 0.5%. Well, we
Is
have
that the best you can do on your money now?
0.5%, 1%, maybe 2%. It's tough to get any
Boy,
money.
is.
Yeah, it is. So, we figure, we have an agreement that we're going to get 2% on our money. So we're going to make a little extra money on interest for the couple years that we own it.
Well, that's good.
We're only going to own it for a couple years, 2 or 3 years at the most.
Yeah. I'm still going to go out and put a little money I got laying around in a CD. My age, there's not much sense in a long-term investment.
No. We don't know how much time we got left.
Well, yeah, that's right. We might as well have a little fun.
And they keep referring to me as the old guy on the board. I'm the old guy anymore.
Well, you are.
And I am the old guy.
You are, and you're younger than me. So, I don't know how. Yeah, you probably are. Bob looks older, though.
No. Yeah. I'm the old guy by age and seniority.
Age and seniority.
Yeah.
So this is what, your 4th term you're looking
Doing
for?
my 4th term, yeah.
Fourth
So
term.
this will be it.
This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
You're
I'm going to
giving
go
it
4
up.
more years, and that's enough. That's 16 years. I hope we got something going at the Ag Park by then.
Yeah.
Get that going a little bit, and then that'll be enough.
So you'll be 69 years old when
60,
your term.
yep, 69, 70.
Wow.
I'm 66 now, so yeah, 70.
Are you 66?
Yep. So I'll be 70, so I'll be able to retire, and if I live that long.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
I feel fine. I know you do.
Well, I
mean, your body's indestructible. I think.
one of my classmates was in the paper a couple days ago. Passed away in Des Moines.
Really?
Yeah, Rod Carty. He was. My
Oh,
classmate
that's
of mine.
right.
Yeah.
I knew that name for some reason.
Yeah. He graduated.
When did he move down to Des Moines?
Well, I think that's where he lived, but he was one of my classmates. You look in the paper, you go, "God, I know that name," and then you start reading, "God, that was him."
Yeah.
So I went.
Yeah. What did he do for a living? Do you remember?
No idea. No
Yeah.
idea whatsoever. I just remember going to school with him.
You had a bunch of. You had a big class for one.
Yeah,
thing.
we had over 500.
Over 500.
Yeah.
And you said one time, I think 45, 50 have gone already.
Oh, at least maybe more than that.
Maybe more than
Yeah.
that. Of course, I shouldn't say already.
Already. Yeah.
We're all grandparents for the most part.
Yeah. 11 times for me.
You have 11 grandchildren?
Grandkids, yeah.
Wow. Well, good for you, man. I know you and Linda get around. You still like to have a good time, and you got to stay out of that 4th Street Depot
No,
on
that's
Friday
a
night.
nice place.
I know it is,
Yeah.
but you got to show up for breakfast this on
Went
Saturday
to
morning.
South Dakota pheasant hunting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday was opening day there, but you can't hunt till noon. So you have to sit around till noon before you can hunt, and then you can hunt from noon to sunset. So you have to drive
Noon
around
to
and spend.
sunset.
You have to drive around and spend money in the morning, both mornings, Saturday and Sunday, and Monday.
In that little town up
In that
South
little town
Dakota.
of Winter, yeah, it was
So
fun.
that's about 1,200 people or so, or
No, it's probably bigger than that. It's probably the size of Webster City.
oh, is it that? Well,
Yeah,
well, that's
yeah.
Webster City's about 10,000. Then.
Well, maybe not that big, but it's pretty good size.
Like Humboldt, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Humboldt's 3,000-4,000. I suppose.
Yeah, it's 10, 15 blocks long and wide, so it's pretty good. They got a couple stop signs, so it's a pretty big town. They got a couple stoplights where you go through, so it's a pretty big town, and a roundabout, so it's a pretty big town.
Yeah, it's not 40 miles from the nearest
No,
gravel
no.
road. Eh? There's a Merle Haggard song like
And
that.
the farmers up there were just like they are here. They're way behind. I mean,
Are they really?
they just started combining beans up there, and nobody had any corn out, so all the way up there wasn't anybody running. So everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's behind a couple weeks.
Yeah, in the upper Midwest there.
Yeah, but hope it doesn't rain this weekend so they can, a lot of guys that get done, they can get going 3-4 more days.
Oh, they can do that. I
Yep.
mean, there's a chance of a little rain, Friday and Saturday morning, I think, but Sunday into next week.
Yep, we'll hope they get another couple weeks of good weather.
Yeah, you probably should have it. I
Yep,
mean, the
hope
last
so.
few days have been pretty good. I
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
know combines have been smoking in the field.
Oh, they're going late at night.
Sure they are. Yeah.
Trouble is they're in beans, and you can only combine beans till dark.
Yeah.
Then they get tough. So it's kind of tough. You can't get going in the morning because they're damp, and then as soon as the sun goes down, they get damp again. So
I saw
the window's pretty short.
I saw a Facebook post from a farmer that said, I need somebody to drive a truck for me.
Oh, I
for
suppose
the next few days.
Yeah,
And,
everybody's trying to find help.
I'm gonna go find that post and tell them I can drive on the weekend for
Yeah.
them. a little bit, but
Oh,
I can't.
they'll hire you.
Oh, they will.
They will in a
Oh,
minute.
yeah.
You got any experience? Drive truck, drive tractor there.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Just that I'm here in the afternoon. So,
Yeah.
yeah. You're out of that farming business.
Yep. I drive out once in a while and just stop and help the guys out once in a while.
You do.
Yeah.
All right. What you don't have any blood You have blood relatives that farm.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of relatives farm yet.
Does your dad still
Friends.
have farmland or?
Yeah, we still got some farm ground, and Linda's cousin farms that, and most of the guys I hung around with are still farming. So you go jump in with them, the first thing they say is, "You want to run the combine?" No.
You want to
run the combine? Make a couple rounds? No, that's fine. I'll just ride around with you.
Well, it's not so bad.
I've done it for 40 years. That's enough.
Well, it's not so bad running that combine.
No,
now.
it's kind of fun to
Just
run the
put
combine
it on
now.
auto and away you go.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you sit there and screw around all you
Yeah.
want. Anyway, Keith Dinklaw, County Supervisor, is our guest. What else happened over the county? We're chatting here. And that's
No,
okay to
I don't
chat.
know, not too much. Just bought that farm ground, and seems like we go through people at the jail every week. People get hired, and I don't know, the jail must be a tough place to work, because we're always hiring 2 people, and 2 people are going someplace else, probably for better jobs, I hope, but we're always got a couple people leaving the jail, I guess.
Well,
Must be a tough job.
Well, for a younger person, I don't know if I'd want to work weekends and overnight.
No,
with a bunch of people who are in jail. How happy are they?
And that's a
gonna be?
24/7 job.
Yeah, sure it
so you're going to be working different hours, and it wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want the job.
Who hires the jailer? Is that the sheriff?
Steve Elferts is the jail administrator, and he interviews them, and then they go through, the HR guy, and then we okay it at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
But whoever they okay, whoever they want to hire, we okay it. The sheriff and the jail administrator do all the hiring.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yep.
Does the sheriff get involved?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
is the
he's-
final decision made by you guys? I mean, after they go through the process, they
Well, it is, but it's not.
I mean,
they recommend that this guy gets hired. We rubber stamp it.
and you rubber stamp
Yeah,
it. Well, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, we're not going to be doing the interviewing, and I'm not going to suggest they hire somebody. Whoever they come to us and say we want to hire this person, if that's the person they want, we're going to say okay.
Yeah. Why second guess them?
Unless I know something really bad that they don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you know something that they don't know, then you'd question that. But otherwise, I don't think we've ever said no to somebody that somebody's wanted to hire in any department.
Yeah. If you trust your staff, why
Yep.
screw around?
Yeah.
The suit. You were getting sued here a couple weeks ago.
Oh
but
yeah,
we got over that.
That's nice. Yeah, we got through out. So Merrill and I were both part of that. I was the chairman, and Merrill did all the background work on that.
We're talking about Jeanette Danuka-Thorne, who is a
yes,
former
yes.
assessor.
Yep.
It came time to assess property, commercial property, as I recall, wasn't it?
The commercial property wasn't assessed right. It really wasn't. It was
Assessed
she
too
turned it
high.
in wrong. She turned it in for what it sold for, and not what the real value was.
Right.
If you got a commercial property and you're selling blue sky a lot of times. You're selling business, you're selling inventory, you're selling everything, where, you're only supposed to assess the building, but she turned up everything. So I think there was 16 or 17 properties that Merrill found that were wrong. And we got it reduced from 36% to 16. So
That's big.
it was good for the people that own the commercial property, but bad for us because we didn't collect the property taxes. But it wouldn't have been fair. It wasn't assessed
No,
right.
it wasn't.
It wasn't assessed right. So yeah. And it
So
was-
the conference board handled it.
The conference board.
I learn things all the time in this job. God, get off now. Here's
Yeah.
somebody from Daytona Beach. I
Man,
gotta shut this door.
you are a wanted guy.
So I didn't know we had a 9/11 board. I
Yep.
didn't know that we had a
911 board,
telecom
board. You have the conference board for the assessor, and
conference board makes sense.
yeah. The school system sits on it. All the little towns and the mayors sit
Mhm.
on it, and we sit on it.
Right.
So there's a big group of people sit on that board.
Yeah. Well, the conference board in handling, she was the assessor after all.
Yep.
So we got to get the county involved. It is.
Oh, yeah,
It is
yeah.
a county deal, not a city deal or anything like that.
Well, it's not really a county. It's a county deal. Yeah, it's for all the cities though too.
Yeah.
She assesses the city property, the county property, all the
Sure.
little towns property. So it is I guess it's a whole county-wide business. I guess.
So
That's why everybody's involved.
So the lawsuit was filed against the county for wrongful
The
termination.
assessors board, not the county. The assessors board.
She sued the
conference
assessors board? Oh, the conference
Yeah,
board.
she sued the conference
Sued the
board.
conference board.
And then she sued Merrill and I because we were the ones that instigated it.
Yeah. Well, you said something over here in the radio station too. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
I
Or
guess. I don't know what I said, but
she was fired, as
Yeah,
I recall.
yeah,
You were probably you were talking to me.
yeah, and we had an attorney the whole time advising us what to do the whole process.
right.
We just didn't go to a meeting and say you're fired.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we talked about it, beforehand to make sure that we could fire her.
Yeah, sure.
We hired an attorney and he gave us, you got to do this,
He
this,
walked
this, and
you
this.
through it. Yeah. Well, that only makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good sense to do that. So I suppose she can appeal.
She
these-
could appeal, but it costs money to appeal.
Yes, it does.
And what's sad is if you sue the county, a lot of times they just settle out of court.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, we're backed by ISAC, and so a lot of times you get sued by the county and it's cheaper to settle it than it is to go to court 3-4 times. So sometimes they just write a check and it really makes you mad when, hey, people are wrong. They should have got fired, but they still get paid in the end.
Well, we've seen that happen. haven't we?
Oh yeah, we've seen that happen. Yeah, we've seen that happen.
We've seen that happen.
Yes, and it's not right. It's not.
No, it
right.
isn't.
And we talked about that. We told our attorney. We goes, hey, as far as settling, if we got anything to say about it, we do not want to settle. But in the end, it's not our call. It's the insurance company.
That's right. It always is.
It's always the insurance company's call. So, but
Insurance companies run the world.
I know it. Yeah.
No, they don't want. If they can settle it for what they think. That's what the deal was with that. So that sexual harassment business down at the State House in Des Moines.
Yep.
The court case went against them, and of course the attorneys for the state weren't very good anyway, and they decided to settle for 1.7 or whatever it was.
Yep, it's probably cheaper in the end.
It
than
was.
going to
It
court
probably
for
was.
5 years.
Yeah.
That's what
would have happened.
That's what would have happened. They'd
That's what
appealed
would
it,
have
and appealed it, and you just go back and forth, and in the end, everybody pays. And the attorneys get rich.
We didn't win that 1.6 billion.
No, I didn't either. I won $2.
Did you win $2?
Yes, I had the mega ball.
I tell you, if I went over $1 billion in a lottery, I swear to God, I'll buy the Warden Plaza and do it myself.
You could, and live and put an apartment on the
I
whole
would.
top floor for
That's
you.
exactly what I would do.
I got the whole top floor.
I got the top floor. I'd turn into a penthouse with a swimming pool and the whole
Yeah,
damn thing, and have parties and invite you and Linda.
Yeah, and everybody else can live below you.
That's right. Everybody else could be down there. I won't bother them, and they don't need to bother me.
I don't know about that warden. That's still a big dinosaur yet.
Well, and people go back and forth with it. People
there's been a lot of money spent already, and nothing's
God.
happened.
Well, exactly. And I talk with people who've been working on the project for a long time, and it seems they go back and forth. Oh, I think we're going to get it done. Then the next time, I don't think so. I
Personally, I don't think it's the right place for it. You
don't think so?
Well, there's just not enough room there for expansion. There's not enough room for anything. Once you get it built, you're done. Just like where they're at now.
We're trying to follow the model of Des Moines and renovate old buildings downtown. But, I share your concern there.
That old building's in bad shape.
Is it really?
If you ever been inside it, it's in bad shape.
I haven't been in it for years.
Structurally, it's probably like
solid,
but inside it's going to be a lot of work.
Oh, God. I mean,
sure.
When that building was built, for God's sake, what they do with the electrical wires? Are they in the floor or wall or wherever they are?
Well, somebody tore all that stuff out.
No, they did.
Oh yeah, the electrical wires are all gone.
All gone.
The plumbing, the copper's all gone in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody tore it all out of the walls, and everything with any value is gone out of that building.
Well, this is a few years ago. I went by there a couple of times and it looked like homeless people sneaking in.
Oh yeah, they still do, I think.
Do they?
I suppose if it's cold and you want to get out of the rain.
Yeah.
What better place is in there?
Yeah. It seems like somebody said that there was a lot of water in the basement.
Probably.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway,
Keith, we're about done.
Yeah, I think we're about done. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, well, thank everybody for voting for me, I guess. And
yeah.
The 6th, and come to the courthouse and vote early.
All right, man.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
Mike. Catch you later.
All right. Yep.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
It's 4:30, 56 degrees.
I'm an addict. If football's on TV, I'm watching. And when I'm watching, there's only two things that will get me out of my recliner. And one of those is a trip to the buffet table. Ours always includes grilled brats and hot dogs on Village Hearth buns. At halftime, we bring out a huge platter of cold cut sandwiches made on Country Hearth multigrain bread. Baked right here in the Midwest, Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads and buns are always fresh and delicious. Touchdown! Yes! Yes!
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the two leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday. versus the Keep Iowa Moving or KIM tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubble and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do. We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubble also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge is hosting its second Build-A-Better block event tonight. Main Street Ford Dodge Executive Director Chris Patrick has the details.
We are having a pop-up museum at 1018 Central Avenue. It's on the site of the old Dodge Theater, so we're actually in a building that used to be a theater. And our purpose is to kind of bring some of that history alive. So we are going to have the public come in at 6 o'clock, and they're going to help us build the exhibit. And then we're going to have some movies that are going to be shown. We have characterization, so people are going to portray some of the people that came from Fort Dodge.
The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., but the pop-up museum will remain open.
And then we're going to leave the front part of the museum open for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it will be open to the public from 4 to 7. There will not be the movies and the characterizations, but people can see the memorabilia, the posters, and the projectors from the past.
Lakeside Golf Course in Kennedy Park in Fort Dodge is hosting the Iowa High School State Cross Country Championships this Saturday. Parks Recreation and Forestry Director Lori Branderhorst says there will be parking changes at the event.
We've opted to shuttle spectators into the park this year, so there will not be any general parking inside Kennedy, with the exception of disability, the handicap. Media is allowed to park inside, school administration, and then obviously our volunteers that are working.
Shuttle locations are at Harlan Rogers Sports Complex, Fort Dodge Senior High School, Fort Dodge Middle School, and Rosedale Rapids. The Webster County Sheriff's Office will be participating in the National Prescription Drug Take-Back on Friday at Hy-Vee Pharmacy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday at Daniel Pharmacy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 55. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 41. Tonight, cloudy skies expected. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for isolated rain showers. Highs level off around 51. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn down 2 cents at $3.68 1/4. March down 2 at $3.80 1/2. May down 1 3/4 at $3.88 1/4. July down 1 3/4 at $3.94. November soybeans closed down 7 1/4 at $8.50 1/4. January down 7 1/2 at $8.63 1/2. March down 7 1/2 at $8.76 3/4. And May beans down 7 1/2 at $8.90 3/4. December wheat closed down 9 1/2 cents at $4.99 1/2. Soybean meal down $4.60 a ton at $3.0610. October live cattle up 50 cents at $113.27. December up 120 at $118.35. October feeder cattle down 45 at $154.62. November up a nickel at $155.92. December lean hogs up $3 at $57.53. February also up the $3 limit at close at $64.42. I'm Dwayne Murley.
We are the land of the free because of the brave. Alpha Media and Graham Tire want to thank our local military men and women for their service. We'll have our Wall of the Brave displayed at Graham Tire in Fort Dodge. Stop out to Graham Tire and sign the wall as a show of support for our military. You can even give a shout out to an active or former military person at yourfortdodge.com. All names will be recognized on air, and your service man or woman might even be the winner of a grand prize package worth over $800. On Friday, November 9th, we'll announce the lucky winner. Then on Saturday, November 10th, we'll will have a live broadcast party for our winner, all nominees, and our listeners. Nominate your former or active military service person now at yourfortdodge.com. Then head out to Graham Tire in Fort Dodge and sign our Wall of the Brave. This special Veterans promotion is sponsored by Graham Tire, Cestech Builders, Rampton Trucking, Misty Harbor, J&M Construction, Iowa Outdoor Store, Sears Hometown Store, Olson Ironworks, the Blue Moose Saloon, and Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Current price times 1,000 acres. Carry the one. These days, it's hard to make the math work for your soybean fields. The BASF Liberty Link system with Liberty herbicide makes it easier. Start with a 2+ bushel per acre yield advantage. Add in lower system input costs and more complete weed control, and you get an extra $33 or more of profit potential per acre compared to Asgrow Roundup Ready to Extend soybeans. Grow smart with Liberty Link and BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
KVFD News and Weather brought to you by the committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler supervisor.
Merrill Leffler has been an outstanding supervisor. With his long history as a successful business person, Merrill Leffler has earned the respect of his colleagues, the courthouse staff, and the public. It's obvious Merrill loves our community and our county. He understands we're on the verge of real change and offers you his years of experience, his passion for our community to make things better for you, your family, for all of us. Re-elect Merrill Leffler, forward-thinking, progressive.
Paid for by committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks taking another beating on Wall Street Wednesday. The Dow falling into negative territory for the year after sinking more than 600 points. The S&P 500 also erasing its gains for the year, and the Nasdaq is seeing its worst percentage loss since 2011. Investors selling after mixed profit reports and new worries about the cost of higher interest rates. Here's one reason why they're worrying. Rising mortgage rates putting a hurt on housing. New home sales plunging 5.5% in September to a 2-year low. Looks like Santa is ready to splurge this year. Consumers telling the National Retail Federation they plan to spend a little more than $1,000 during the holiday season. That's around 4% more than last year. A lot of kids are giving their mom and dad's buyer's remorse. More than half of parents surveyed by the company Compare Cards say they let their children borrow their credit cards for online purchases, and get this, nearly half of them regret doing so afterwards. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Charles Payne.
And now, the worst commercial ever.
Hi, I am Justin Galvin, retired athlete from your local ball team, so I know a thing or two about insuring a landscaping business. I trust the pros, commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive. Get customized insurance solutions that'll hit a grand slam home run for you. Are we done?
A totally mailed-in celebrity endorsement. Awful. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
Lumps go and blow.
Stump Snow and Mow? Is this Stumpy?
Yeah, this is Lumpy.
I said Stumpy. I want to talk to Stumpy.
Stumpy, Lumpy, same thing, man.
No, it's not. Don't be fooled by wannabe imposters. Call the original Stump Snow and Mow for all your lawn care and snow removal needs. From lawn aerating, fall spraying, and leaf cleanup to keeping your sidewalks, driveways, and parking lots clear this winter, the one and only Stump Snow and Mow is where to go. Stump Snow and Mow for complete lawn care and snow removal. If it ain't Stump, it's a pain in the rump.
Elvis is back. And this time he's bringing his friend Johnny Cash with him.
I hear the train coming.
Alpha Media presents the Elvis and Johnny Tribute with Joseph Hall and Paul Eve. Friday night, November 2nd in the Cardiff Center at Fort Frenzy.
Every time I hear new born baby cry, because you're mine, I'll walk the line.
Doors open at 5:30 and the Elvis and Johnny tribute starts at 7. Tickets are $25 in advance or $30 at the door. Get them now at Hy-Vee Fort Dodge, the Iowa Outdoor Store, or Fort Frenzy. Bring the whole family to see this tribute to the king of rock and roll and the man in black as Joseph Hall and Paul Eve present the Elvis and Johnny tribute. Friday night, November 2nd at Fort Frenzy. Brought to you in part by Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating, J&M Construction in Bode, Cactus Family Farms, the Iowa Outdoor Store, and United Bank of Iowa in Fort Dodge, Rockwell City, and Pocahontas. The Elvis and Johnny tribute is an Alpha Media event.
Michael Devine, when you want compelling talk.
iPod, huh? Was that some sort of space capsule?
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Do you ever get tired of watching bad things happen to people?
Sticking up for you when no one else will.
Yeah, what's an iPod? Some sort of space capsule? I think I actually asked that question once, just a few years ago. The world is moving too fast for me. Yeah, you can watch this program on YouTube. Just go to 1400 KVFD. 1400 KVFD. The letters will be lowercase. And you'll see me sitting here with Father Patrick Boehm. Father Patrick Boehm, I'm sure everybody wants to see you. Maybe I should have repositioned you before we got on the air. Could you be right in front here, right in front of me? Yeah. Now we're talking about.
Do you have a camera today?
Oh yeah, we have the camera going.
Oh hey, how you doing? I take my glasses off.
There you go.
I usually wear contacts. I just happen to put my glasses on today.
And by the way, you can these are recorded sessions, so you can go to YouTube anytime to see them. Father Patrick Boehm, of course, with the Holy Trinity Parish, regular contributor to the program. Certainly appreciate his appearance here whenever he can. There's only 2 priests. There's 2 active priests in Webster County.
Right.
You have some help from retired priests.
We do. Yep.
But you and Monsignor McCoy are actually the only 2 active priests.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, here we are in political season again. And one of the things we're looking at here in Iowa and around the country, of course, is abortion. What sort of abortion should be allowed? Should abortion be allowed? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the Catholic Church always gets dragged into this.
Sure.
And there's usually some Catholic bashing that goes along with this. There are people of other faiths. There are people in the Christian faith. There are no doubt Catholics who are in favor of abortion and are in conflict with the Catholic Church's teachings.
Sure.
Being a political season, the accusations go back and forth. What is the church's position?
Well, the church has always held and continues to hold and always will hold that abortion is a violation of the moral law, the moral code, because it's the taking of an innocent human life. And so, the science is very clear that at the moment of conception, a fertilized egg is a unique individual human life with 46 unique chromosomes that are separate from its mother or its father. It has its own unique set of DNA. And very soon after conception, a matter of weeks, this child will have a heartbeat. And so absolutely, the church has always been opposed to abortion in every step of every stage of pregnancy, and will continue to be.
Prominent Catholics, and I'm thinking of Edward Kennedy of Massachusetts and John Kerry of Massachusetts. They have been denied communion. Well, of course, Senator Kennedy has been deceased for some years.
Mm-hmm.
But at his church, he was refused communion because of his pro-choice stance. The same thing I understand has happened with Senator Kennedy in the last couple of years. Is that something that should be done, do you think?
I do, yes.
Is that the church's position? These are high-profile people. These aren't people meeting over in the corner,
right,
with questions about abortion.
Exactly. Because the thing is, there's a difference between, someone, as you say, having questions and wanting to engage in a debate and a discussion, which I'm always willing and happy to have, versus someone who consistently votes to keep this practice legal. There's a huge difference there. And so I'm of the mindset that, by voting in such a fashion, you have de facto, by the very act itself, removed yourself from being in communion with the church. Now, I did not say, and I specifically did not say excommunicated, because that's a canonical penalty and that's something entirely different. We might have to devote a whole program to that someday.
We will.
But all right, you can let me know anytime. I'm always happy to talk. But by voting to keep abortion legal, someone has separated him or herself from communion with the church. Now, there is a canon in canon law, Canon 915. This is routinely cited by people. And Canon 915 says that those who obstinately persist in manifest grave sin are not to be admitted to Holy Communion. And so are not to receive Holy. I can't remember
Where
the
was
exact
that at? Where
wording.
did you say that was?
It's in the Code of Canon Law, and it's Canon 915.
Okay.
915. And so, absolutely. Now, obviously, any punishment like that needs some pretty good catechesis. And I think the onus would be on that individual's bishop to have a conversation with that person. I mean, I don't think this is something that should just come out of the blue. And I'm kind of, I'm of the mindset that unless there's a clear directive from my bishop, who is the chief shepherd of the local church, then I'm not going to act in one fashion or another. I've yet to be presented with this in my own priesthood and had to make a decision. What would I do? Basically, I do believe that the Eucharist is not a tool for political gain, but nevertheless, to receive the Eucharist, we must be in communion, because that's what it is. It's Holy Communion, and you have to be in union with the mind of the church. And so if someone has separated him or herself from being in union with the mind of the church, that person is, by definition, not in communion and thus ought not receive Holy Communion. So I hope that makes sense.
It does to me. I see where you're going. I mean, is the person welcome in church?
Well, sure, certainly, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm a supporter of Congressman Steve King, who was a Catholic, and he's a practicing Catholic, and he is opposed to abortion in all cases, whether the child is revealed to be badly handicapped or. And this is something that bothered me, frankly. He is even opposed to abortion in the case of rape or incest.
Sure.
Now, we have a woman then, or even a girl, badly traumatized.
Oh, absolutely. Big time.
Just a life-changing event. And no doubt this experience will stay with her for life.
Sure.
I mean, she may grow to accept it in time, as something evil done to her, not anything that she did for those sorts of things. But it's something, a trauma that will stay with her for life.
You bet it is.
I just could not agree with the congressman on that, and I don't agree with the Catholic Church if the church does. And I know you're going to tell me that the church does oppose abortion in the case of rape or incest. But I guess I would like, from your perspective, why the church takes a step that would possibly inflict more psychic pain and damage on this woman or even girl.
Certainly. Okay. So there's an awful lot here. I'm going to try and give you the best answer that I can. The first thing I would say is, and I mean, you've had me on your program now for over a year. I think you probably know I don't tend to mince words. I don't.
That's why you keep coming back, Father.
Yeah.
I appreciate your. There's nothing that you haven't told me that's not grounded in church law.
Amen. Amen.
So it's not an opinion; it's church law.
Nope. I am going to uphold what the church believes because that's my duty. That's what I said that I would do when I took when I received the sacrament of holy orders. I said and I promised that I would uphold that which the church upholds.
And I say amen.
Amen. And so, yeah, I mean, the church says, look, the science on this is pretty clear that whether a child is conceived in rape, incest, in a normal act of intercourse between two loving parents, whatever it is, at the moment of conception, that zygote, that single-celled zygote, has 46 unique chromosomes. And I said that earlier, but it's the same line of reasoning. And so basically it comes down to this. Do we believe that that is a unique human person? Because if it is, then it seems to me then the church's logic on this is sound, that even if that child came to existence in rape or incest, as tragic as that is, and it is, and as traumatizing as that is, and it is, that is still a unique human life, worthy of defense and worthy of legal protection. Because, I mean, who among us to say, well, who among us can say, you're worthy to live, you're not. And so I think there's an issue there. What I would say is this: in the same breath of saying we need to protect and defend that baby, we need to protect and defend that girl or that woman, whoever it is, the victim of that crime, and provide her all the help and resources that she needs, any type of counseling that she needs. I think, I certainly think that there should be no cost incurred to her to put that child up for adoption, however that would be paid for, whether it's via charity or whether it's via the state in some type of social aid, something like that. I guess the last thing I can say on this, and I don't like these arguments, because I think that arguments appealing to our emotion tend to be the weakest.
Father, I don't know if it's an argument or not. I would have to say this is a legitimate position that some people had taken in opposition to the church.
Well,
I mean, it's not, I shouldn't say opposition to the church, but they are asking the church, if the church is a loving church and God is a loving God, how could the church then ask them to endure a pregnancy that was forced on them?
Let me get to that. I guess I wasn't clear. I'm sorry. What I'm about to put forward is an argument that I actually don't like.
Okay.
But I'm sorry. No, but I'm going to use it anyway.
That's all right.
So I don't like arguments that appeal to emotion,
Okay.
because we tend to make bad decisions when we act out of emotion. And I think that's true across the board, right? We always want to turn back to our reason and to our intellect and kind of think through things. Okay, what's the best choice to make here? But nevertheless, sometimes appealing to the emotions is effective, and there's meaning there. And this happens all the time. Look at the poor children that are going to starve if you do this or if you don't do that. Well, that may be true, but it doesn't necessarily help us come to a conclusion about what's the right thing to do. But nevertheless, here we go. So I'm going to put forward an argument that I don't actually like, but I'm going to use it anyway. A friend of mine from college, she and her husband, for whatever reason, have had trouble conceiving children of their own. And they've adopted 2 children, one of whom was actually conceived via rape. And it's this beautiful little girl. And I can't help but think of this beautiful little child every time we talk about, well, abortion should be legal in the case of rape and incest. This little girl would not be here if her mother, who was a teenager who was raped, had chosen to abort this little child. Instead, she very heroically brought this child to full term, gave birth. It was a healthy delivery, a healthy baby. The mom, as far as I know, is healthy. Gave the child up for adoption, and my friend and her husband adopted this baby. Again, I don't like going down that road because it appeals to our emotions, and emotion can misguide. Emotion can mislead. But nevertheless, the reality is that if this child had been aborted because the mother was raped, this child would be dead.
Father Boehm, Catholicism is a very romantic and emotional religion.
It can be.
Oh, yes, it is. It is not. Faith is not reasonable.
Oh,
faith,
sure it is.
How can faith be reasonable? I mean, I'm a man of faith, and you are as well.
You bet.
And I applaud anyone who is a person of faith.
Okay.
But faith, while there are reasoned aspects to faith itself, belief in the supernatural, belief in a supreme being, that's not rational. It's not reasonable.
Why do you say that?
It's because it appeals to our emotion.
Yes, but I can make reasonable, rational arguments.
You can, and I can see
proving the existence of God.
Certainly,
I mean,
yes, you can.
Thomas Aquinas made 5 of them. I mean, I think the most impressive one is an argument called the fine-tuning argument. I actually just talked about that with some of my students yesterday. Anyway, let me answer your question because I think it's a good question, and I don't want to just dodge it and throw it off to the side here. Essentially, what you were asking is, why would the church seemingly impose this suffering on a person? And I'm going to give you 2 answers to that. First of all, suffering isn't necessarily a bad thing. We live in a world that wants to avoid suffering. But as a Christian, I would suggest excuse me, I kind of stumbled over my words there. I would suggest that the act of redemption came about through suffering.
Yes.
The most important act in human history, the redemption of mankind by the suffering and death of Jesus Christ, was brought about through suffering. And so it's a unique situation that we find ourselves in the 21st century, where we are striving with all of our hearts and with all of our effort to avoid suffering. And suffering isn't necessarily a bad thing. And so I'll throw that out there. But that doesn't necessarily explain why the church would say to this person, you need to suffer through this. Where I'm going to differ with you is that that's not what the church is saying. The church is saying,
but that is the practical result.
Well,
you are going to have to. The woman is going to have to suffer through it.
Absolutely, it's what I would call, to use a philosophical term here, a reasonable term, if you will.
Sure,
is the principle of double effect.
Okay.
My intention is to save the life of this child. Now, an unintended consequence of that is that this woman suffers. Let's say, for instance, however, that a woman, maybe she was, devoutly pro-life and wouldn't even consider an abortion in this case. And she rejoices in bringing this new child to birth, which there are women that's happened to, who have been the victim of rape, but because of their own convictions brought these children into new life. We wouldn't go back and say, well, darn, you didn't suffer. We're going to make you go back and suffer again because you didn't suffer enough. We wouldn't say that. Our intention is not to make this person suffer. Our intention is to give life to this child. And yeah, I admit it is a consequence that that the woman, the mother, is maybe going to have to bear some suffering as a result of this. It's not to say I don't care. It's not to say that her feelings and emotional stability is not important. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, we have to answer that fundamental question that I raised at the beginning of this. Is that being a unique human life? If it is, it's worthy of legal protection. If it's not, well, then let's, yeah, I mean, if it's not, then abortion should be legal.
So what can we say? Well, we'll finish with where we started.
Sure.
What can we say then for Catholics who vote for candidates who are pro-choice or openly advocate for abortion?
I struggle to wrap my mind around it, to be honest with you. I mean, I will say what Archbishop Charles Chaput once said. I mean, I think he said this maybe back in 2004, might have been 2008. I can't remember. But Archbishop Charles Chaput, and at the time he was the Archbishop of Denver. Now he's the Archbishop in Philadelphia. But he was very explicit, and he said, "I will never vote for a candidate who supports abortion." And neither would I. I would say the same thing. I will never vote for a candidate who supports abortion, ever. Reason being, I would say the same thing about someone who came out and said that they support legalized slavery. I wouldn't look at that person and say, well, I agree with what you have to say on taxes and on immigration and on education policy and on healthcare and on the environment and on, you name it, go down the line, whatever it may be. If you think that enslaving other human beings should be a legally protected right, then in my estimation, you are unworthy to receive the vote of well, certainly mine, but I would say unworthy to receive the vote of a faithful Catholic. I would say the same thing. If someone, maybe I agree with them on everything else, you go right down the line of 1,001 different issues, but he says at the end of the day, I believe it should be a legal right to kill an unborn child, then I'm sorry. You have disqualified yourself from receiving my vote. I don't care where you stand on anything else. So I hope that's clear. Like I said, I don't mince words.
No, that's fine.
No, I know. I love you, Mike.
I'm not much for mincing them myself.
No, you're not. That's why I like you. It's why I like coming on your show.
All right, Father Patrick Bain, thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure.
AM 1400 KVFT, the voice for done.
Loffersweiler Funeral Home is pleased to announce the addition of our crematory. I'm Luke Loffersweiler. The addition of our on-site crematory is another example of how we consistently exceed expectations and deliver a standard of service that is 100% guaranteed. At Loffersweilers, we're honored to give your family our assistance and expertise, taking care of even the smallest details before, during, and after the funeral, so you can begin the healing process. We're Loffersweiler Funeral Home, Fort Dodge, a trusted friend of the family for over 160 years.
The bakers of Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads are proud to support local education with Loaves for Learning, the program that makes it easy to earn money for your school. Enjoy Country Hearth and Village Hearth all-natural breads, buns, bagels, and more. Then save the UPC from the package for your school to collect and redeem. Each is worth 5 cents and can be used for books, computers, sports, music, whatever your school needs, up to $10,000 a year. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads, baking our best for you.
Take the worry out of winter with a winter weather advisor on KVFD, brought to you by Community Health Center Fort Dodge, offering dental, behavioral health, and general medical assistance for men, women, and children. They're committed to your well-being. Community Health Center. Get to know them. And Creative Cakes, making life sweet with espresso, lunch, gourmet cupcakes, and other sweet treats. Creative Cakes in the Crossroads Mall, Fort Dodge. They make life sweet. Listen for the winter weather advisor on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
Mobilize us, and we will not allow that to happen.
The Obamas and California Congresswoman Maxine Waters were also targets. In a release, the FBI put this investigation at the highest priority, Lisa.
Gernal, President Trump condemned the sending of the packages.
This egregious conduct is abhorrent to everything we hold dear and sacred as Americans.
Adding, in these times, we have to unify and come together and send one very clear message that acts of political violence have no place in the United States of America. But CNN President Jeff Zucker issuing a statement reading in part, there is a total and complete lack of understanding at the White House about the seriousness of the continued attacks on the media. The president, and especially the White House press secretary, should understand that words matter. Police in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, outside Louisville, say 2 people have died in a shooting at a Kroger grocery store. The suspect is in custody. The suspicious package is giving Wall Street the jitters, the Dow losing 608 points. The S&P fell 84. Both indexes now in negative territory for the year. The NASDAQ gave up 329.
Big losers today: United Technologies, Caterpillar, Microsoft, Disney. All
Fox's Jerry Willis on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. This is Fox News.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies, or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Right now at VisionWorks.com, for a limited time, you can get 2 complete pairs of glasses, frames, lenses, the works, for just $49 on single vision glasses and $89 on progressives. And that's a good deal. But we offer that pricing on over 500 frames, which makes it a great deal. So go to VisionWorks.com to buy 2 complete pairs of single vision glasses for just $49 or 2 pairs of progressives for only $89. VisionWorks, we're here to help you. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Offer expires November 10th.
The caravan of migrants from Central America continues to head north, even after repeated warnings from President Trump.
The estimated 7,000 migrants in the Honduran caravan are back to walking north from southern Mexico. But the AP is reporting that some members of the caravan paid for bus tickets and that Mexican police had been stopping some of the smaller buses and taking people off of them. Vice President Mike Pence said Wednesday that the president of Honduras told him the caravan was organized by leftist groups and financed in part by Venezuela. They also said they believe Middle Easterners are among those in the caravan, though President Trump acknowledged there's no proof of that.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The president has threatened to send the military.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. 13 days remain before the election, and the 2 leading candidates for governor are embarking on statewide tours with remarkably similar branding. Radio Iowa's OK Henderson reports.
It is the Get Iowa Moving bus tour for Democrat Fred Hubbell, which started yesterday, versus the Keep Iowa Moving, or KIM, tour for Republican Kim Reynolds that starts today. On Tuesday afternoon, Hubbell and his running mate Rita Hart stopped at the Free Speech Zone on the Iowa State University campus. It's the sidewalk where college Democrat volunteers are asking every student who walks in or out of the library if they need information about voting.
Thank you guys very much for all that you do.
We really appreciate all your effort, all your enthusiasm. You motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
Hubble also made stops yesterday in Des Moines, Nevada, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. The Reynolds bus tour starts at a West Des Moines restaurant today with additional stops in Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls. Radio Iowa, I'm OK Henderson.
Main Street Ford Dodge